Is that a bat signal? It must be draft day. Is that a bat signal? They must be calling Big Sills. Bat signal. Is this a bat signal? Oh, my God. It's time for Big Sills to give you his wisdom. They're calling me. They're calling me. Look, there's the bat signal right over my head. Holy cow. I'm here, folks. Truth, justice, and the Big Sills way. We are here. We are here because the bat signal it's been called. Draft day tonight. Absolutely. The 89th NFL draft is tonight. And teams will get a chance to change their fortunes. Find a dynamic player or a dynamic bust. This is like working on the stock market. What stocks will go up? What stocks will go down? What will be a mediocre stock? What will be an okay stock? That's exactly what the NFL draft is. Nothing more, nothing less. You know, to sit there and say that you're going to hit on a pick, you're trying to dismiss failure tonight. You're trying to land on a guy who's give you the best opportunity for success. Okay? That's what you're going to do. I want to make a point out to you here. By the way, I love the fact that it's in Green Bay tonight. One of the cathedrals of the National Football League, Lambeau Field. If you've never been there, you must make a pilgrimage there to go see Lambeau Field. It's not only the fact that I had the honor of playing on that field, but it's also the great privilege of having been there numerous times. It's a phenomenal place. And if you're a football fan, you have to get there. All right. Super chats go to the top. Please hit the like button. We appreciate all the haters today. Thank you. Keep the algorithm going. We love you. Very important. Kyle, one of my favorite people of all time. Still says James Pierce on the Eagles board from your source, Clint Hurt. Let me write that down, brother. We will definitely answer that question. And Kyle, remind me to answer it if I don't. Okay? I promise. James Pierce, Tennessee edge rusher. Absolutely. King Roseman tonight. Howie and Associates will be on display. I want to show you guys something, and I want to ask you if you guys think that this is a coincidence. Prior to going on the air, I pointed this out to Xander. And you tell me, this is how I think this draft will go. Hey, for the record, I think it's an okay draft. I think the drama will be insane tonight. This is going to be a great television. I think this is going to be a great TV event tonight. The players are just pawns in this whole thing. Okay? They love to hate yourselves, but they can't stop watching. Flex, we appreciate you being here, brother, and supporting the program. I know. That's why we're the most relevant guy right now on YouTube. Little old me and little old Jacob. I don't know. Eagles have a problem with us. People quote me everywhere, USA Today, no matter what it is. Little old Sills and little old Jacob. Here we are. It's all good. We love it. All right. Tell me this. You tell me if this is a coincidence. So let's take a look at the bottom of the draft. Let's go down to the bottom of the draft. Let's take a look at the GMs down there. Howie Roseman, 32. Brett Veach, 31. Brandon Beane, 30. Adam Peters, 29. Brad Holmes, 28. Eric DeCosta, 27. Les Snead and Kevin Demoff at 26. Nick Caserio at 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All the best GMs in the NFL. Oh, and let's do this. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, and C.J. Stroud. So let me get this right. The last 8 teams in this draft have the best general managers and their quarterback situation figured out. Let's take a look at the top 10. Tennessee, no quarterback. I don't even know who the GM is there. Andrew Berry. Maybe the worst deal in the history of the National Football League in Deshaun Watson. Joe Schoen at 3. No quarterback and no brains. Elliott Wolf, not fair. He's only been there 2 years in New England. Jacksonville, no idea what they're doing, ever. The Raiders and Mark Davis, complete disaster. The Jets, the owner's terrible. Doesn't matter who the GM is. Carolina, David Tepper, horrific owner, no quarterback. New Orleans, no quarterback. Decent GM and Mickey Loomis. Chicago has never gotten anything right. You think there's any coincidence to that? That the top 10 teams in the draft are the worst GMs and don't have the quarterback situation figured out. All but maybe 2. And the bottom 8 are the best general managers in all of football. And tonight, those bottom 8 will watch the rest of the group and everyone in the NFL panic. Why? Everyone at the top of the draft is fighting for their jobs. That's why they're going to reach for Jackson Dart. That's why they're going to reach for Jalen Milroe. That's why they're going to jump up and get players that possibly don't belong in that respected spots. That's what they're going to do. There is no coincidence. The best GMs are at the bottom of this draft. So as you see CJ pull Antonio Brown, taped his cell phone with Nick, called Nick on his BS. Damn how he told him, we're talking on water. Hey, we're taking on water. Get this. That's crazy. So as you see CJ pulling Antonio Brown, taped his phone call with Nick, called Nick on his BS. Wait a minute, pump. The head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles is a bull-faced liar. We know this. But he's not uncommon to anybody else. Coaches have to lie to you because they're doing the dirty work of the organization. That's what the commissioner of the NFL does. He is a bull-faced liar because he's doing the dirty work of the owners. That's why you never fall in love with your players, because you can never tell the truth to them. I'm not upset by that. Called him out on his BS. Hey, quite frankly, Gardner Johnson needs to let it go. Bro, you're a good football player. You know, you're a good player. Eagles gave you an opportunity. Let me say this to you. And if I will say this, Brian, to him. Dude, you were dying on the Saints roster. Nobody knew who the fuck you were. The Eagles traded for you, brought you up there. You've been in 2 Super Bowls. Big part of it on defense, no doubt about it. You've been on the number 2 defense and the number 1 defense in Philly in your time in the 2 years you've been there. But let it go, bro. They picked your contract up and they traded. You're going to make $11.5 million because the Eagles helped you get out of the hole in New Orleans. Shut the fuck up. Move on. You got a Super Bowl ring. You got an NFC championship ring. What in the world are you moaning about? What are you moaning about? Because you're not your favorite place? Oh, welcome to life. Welcome to life. Get this. Gardner Johnson is bitching about making $11.5 million in a Super Bowl ring, and now he's in a good situation in Houston. It's not like the Eagles sent you to a trash can like the New York Jets. They sent you to a damn good situation. This guy's a bitch. Honestly, he is a flat-out bitch. Dude, they hooked you up really handsomely. They picked your contract up from Detroit. They brought you back after all your bullshit. And here you are talking shit again on the Eagles. Hey, guys, this is something else for you guys to know. Gardner Johnson never gave a shit about the Eagle fans. All that BS he was talking about. Remember when he got let off the hook after the 22 season and the shit he talked on you? And he was talking shit on you up in Detroit. Detroit moves off him. They start talking shit on him again. Then he turns around and now he's in love. Now he's talking shit on the Eagle organization. Come on, dog. Come on now. Wearing Jerome's jersey in honor of the draft and karma. I love Jerome. You know that. Dude. Jessica, okay? I don't hate any player. Why? How could I? Jessica, how could I hate somebody I don't know? Never got that. That's for loser people that hate from afar. I hate Trump. You ever met him? No. I just hate him. I hate Joe Biden. Have you ever met him? No. How can you hate somebody? I can't stand Gardner Johnson. Do you hate him? No. I don't know him. I just know this. What he does publicly, very bitchy. In my book. Very bitchy. No wonder the Eagles moved off of him. Again, to the point here. Don't you agree that tonight, everyone in front of Philadelphia is going to panic? The quarterbacks, there could be as many as 4 go tonight. In a weak-ass quarterback draft, who do the Eagles and what do the Eagles do at number 32? We tried to point it out to you yesterday, okay, that they're beholden to the draft board. There's those 5 guys that they probably have an idea. See, you have to have a pool of players, okay? You have to have a pool of players because you never know what the board is going to do in front of you. It's common sense. We're not telling you something you don't know already. This is not an epiphany. What is that? You know, the problem became this cycle when it came to the Eagle draft. You don't know where he's going. And the fluctuating of where these players are going to go, what does that tell you? It's a weak draft. You don't have really anybody outside of the top 3 players cemented. Would you not agree? It's 3 players. Cam Ward, Miami Hurricane quarterback to Tennessee, Travis Hunter, or Abdul Carter to Cleveland, and who the Giants will get is whoever Cleveland doesn't take. Those are the top 3 players in the draft. And the top 2 players in the draft are Hunter and Abdul Carter, however you want to rank them. Those are the 2 best. Tell me. Just saw the CJ video. He's toxic. Glad he's gone. Been telling you that since day one. Guy's not a good teammate. Oh, no, wait. He's a great teammate when he's on your team. When he's not on your team anymore, he's a mortal enemy. Yeah. Now you know what Slay said was true. Now you know what happened. Gardner Johnson leaks leaders. He leaks the inability to be a leader. You know why Gardner Johnson's not on your football team? Gardner Johnson's not a leader. If he was a better leader to the young players, he'd still be here at $8 million. Isn't it funny? We're talking about drafting Malachi Starks. Why would I want to draft Malachi Starks when I had a guy that helped me propel my team to 2 Super Bowls, had 12 interceptions and 2 times he was on this ball team? Why in the world would you want to move off that? And you still with $22 million in salary cap space. You know why? Because he's a fucking cancer. That's why. He's a good player. So now he tapes Nick. Let me tell you this, what that guy is doing. He is without a doubt shooting his ability. When that talent is not there, he is shooting his career full of holes. So how do you think Nick Caserio, these guys talk? Caserio, Howie, all of these guys talk. Andrew Berry, Brett Veach. So when he gets cut again, and he's got to go to another team, that GM's going to know, why would I sign that when he's going to talk shit on the organization and me? He's taping secretly, Nick, and his calls. Man. Nick probably told, hey, Leon, do me a favor, paraphrase what he said. Because I haven't heard it yet. He recorded the call with Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni probably told him everything how he told him to tell him. Hey, we really love. Hey, then again, Nick was probably telling him the truth. Hey, we really love you. We don't want to see you go anywhere. And I'll make this point to you here too. Do you really think that Vic Fangio wanted to see Josh Sweat and Milton Williams go? Of course he didn't. You think he wanted to see any of those other guys? By the way, remember what I told you? I told you that Gardner Johnson and the DB coach had a run-in. And when I posted that on Twitter, everyone jumped my shit for it by saying it was made. It's not made up. Now you see what this guy has done and how this guy was acting in the locker room. This guy's about Gardner Johnson. Good. I'd rather not have him on the team than have to put up with all that shit. You know why? Because he's a loose cannon. I'd rather play with guys like Reed Blankenship than I would with Gardner Johnson every day. I can count on him. I can't count on CJ. Okay? Can't. You can't count on it. Okay, get this. I mean, as far as he's unstable. Yes. Okay? Look at Tim. This is so true here. I get a kick out of people going nuts when Sills tweets out information he has. Yeah, you know why, Tim? Because they don't have the same folks that we have on the program, and we know those folks. All I have to do is I text Mario Cristobal if the Eagles had talked to Arroyo, and I text Joy if the Eagles had talked to Mason Taylor. She said yes. They hate that because you know why? I don't need the Eagles for information. I never have. And if I want something really answered, I'll ask Clint Hurt. She says, do you predict the Eagles select a player tonight? Off the top of my head, yes. The value is moving out. Can I get a dual threat? Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me give you my drama tonight. I'll say it one more time. By the way, please, guys, hit the like button. We appreciate you guys. In the 2025 NFL draft, The Philadelphia Eagles select Malachi Stark, safety, SEC, Georgia. Bet it. Go Birds fly, Eagles fly. Stark said would be awesome to play in Philadelphia with the guys he went to school with. Man, that'd be an ultimate dream. Let me ask you something. Alfredo, let me ask you this. How cool do you think it was for Ed Reed and Ray Lewis to play together in Baltimore? And also Bryant McKinney. Those guys all played together at UM. How cool do you think that was? That they got a chance to play together their entire football career from the time they were 19 years old until the time they retired. How cool was that? 3 years at UM, and then those legendary years that they had when they were in Baltimore. And they brought that culture. So let me ask you this. Do you think those Georgia kids are bringing that culture to Philadelphia the same way that Ed Reed and Ray Lewis brought that culture to Baltimore and McKinney? I do. I do. And right now, they're looking for winners. They're looking for winners. There's going to be drama tonight. Now, I'm going to do this. Here is going to be my draft board. The direction of tonight's draft for Philly. First pick. Edge or DT? That might be in the second round. That might be in the first round. Edge or DT? I think the edge conversation is a little bit overrated. You didn't need a premier DT. You had very good football players on the edge. Josh Sweat's a very good player. Elite? No. So could you get a guy in the second? Yeah. You've been absolutely spectacular in the second round. I think you're going to get just – let me ask you this. Don't you agree last year? What do you think you got more production out of a year ago? Corner or the slot? With DeJean and Q. You could ask the same question with the Rams. Did you get more production with Fiske, with Jared Verse, or even Cameron Kitchens? Where did you get more? Well, guys, hit the like button. 68, let's go. Get it up there, man. Great day today. I think the slot. I think you get more production out of the slot. I think Cooper DeJean was your best rookie a year ago. And that's no slight on Q. I think Q was great. I think DeJean was better. Why in the hell do we have Bus Davis on the thumbnail? This is a bad omen, Xander. It's funny when people talking to me about, Roseman picking and how great he's been. He's been great the last 3 drafts for sure. Maybe 4, I guess. Let's not forget, though, the Derek Barnetts, the Nelson Aguilars, the Andre Dillards, the Jalen Ragers, and the potentially Jordan Davises. And he just wasted a 3rd-round pick on another wide receiver whiff. I mean, Howie's had 1 hit at wideout. Devontae Smith. Since he's been a general manager, he's had 1 wide receiver that was an elite player at that position that he's drafted. 1. And all the years. And he whiffed a year ago by surrendering a 3rd rounder for Jahan Dotson. Did he not? I mean, let's not pretend that this guy knows what he's doing at wideout. Now, I'll tell you what he did do, which was impressive. Nobody in a million years ever thought that A.J. Brown was that player, not even the Tennessee Titans. Nobody did. I mean, they offered him $6 million less in Tennessee. How he went and traded for him and elevated his game in Philly. Hence, Tennessee was holding him back and his abilities back. Can you imagine that? It's almost like New Orleans in the Zach Bond conversation. What are you doing with that guy on special teams when you had a massive need at linebacker and you were whiffing at linebacker, Mickey Loomis, and you had a guy on your roster, you never gave him a shot? You never gave the guy a shot. Right? So, I mean, still a third-round pick. You surrendered for a guy you didn't pick the fifth-year option up. That's a bust. That's a bust of a move. The signing of Huff and the third-round pick of Dotson are not something, obviously, the Philly media is going to bring up. They're only going to glaze over what he's done great. We tell the whole story. And I do think in the second, and from the second all the way down to the fifth, I think he's been great. I think his first-round picks the last 3 years have been good. I think where his talents show, if you look at his draft picks, they've been in the later rounds, 2 to 5. 7 if you go back to Mulata. Okay, I mean, so tonight, how he's going to find a player in this draft, I don't know what round it is. I can't tell you. Let me give you a little bit of the before we get into the drama for tonight, the Eagles and NFL drama. Let me just give you a sense of how inconsistent the draft is going to be tonight. Let's take a few of your guys. Walter Nolan, anywhere from 20, 32, 26, 8th, 38, 39, 12, and 22. What does that tell you? They're not sure about him. Get this. When you're sure about somebody, Abdul Carter's not falling out of the top 3. Right? You don't see 20 to 38 with Travis Hunter. You got that, right? They're not sold, or teams have different opinions. To me, half the league thinks the guy's good, half the league thinks he's okay, and the bottom rest think he's another guy. James Pierce, edge, who the Eagles like. 24, 36, 21, 16, 23, 37, 44, 21, and 32. What does that tell you about James Pierce? Not sold on him either. Who is he? Those wide ranges tell you all you need to know about the draft. Ask yourself, when you ever want to ask yourself if this is a good draft, ask yourself this: how many players are pretty cemented into their draft selections tonight? Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter and Cam Ward. Everyone else, it's subject to everyone's interpretation and how they see that guy. This draft is only 3 players deep on blue chip. Everyone else, here's Josh Connerly, who the Eagles like, O-lineman from Oregon. 33, 23, 37, 33, 32, 27, 23, 34 and 31. What does that tell you about Josh Connerly? He's a bottom of the draft first round guy. You get a better sense of Josh Connerly than you do with Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan could go in the 8th pick to the 42nd pick. I mean, at least with Connerly, you're hanging around from 27 to 34. You're hanging around that number there. I kind of know where he is. He's a safer pick. Someone will go, he's got more upside. So you think a guy has more upside when a guy is being projected by some teams as the 8th pick and some teams as the 42nd pick, there's more chance for error with him. That's Mozzie Smith shit. Maxwell Hairston, guy I like, in Kentucky corner. Hear me out here. 38, 35, 33, 27, 43, 53, 38, 29, 37. That's perfect. It's about who he is. Bottom of the first, top to middle of the second. That's who that kid is. That's what that guy is. That's not over. Walter Nolan is more of a chance to be a dud as he does to be a successful superstar. That's too much. That is too much of a length. If you're the Eagles, do you want to give? Why would I want to give a guy that kind of leash to be that big a bust when I'm looking for a surefire guy? I don't need a superstar. I need a starter. Because look at what I did last year. Milton, Moro Jomo, very good edge rushers, not elite. And we won the Super Bowl and we were number one because I got a great coordinator and I have a great chef. I think you're missing this. Okay? Look at Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis could have went anywhere from 10 to 22. Eagles took him at 13. Guess what? He's never lived up to the high end of the draft. And it's going to cost him a roster spot down the road. Either this year or next year. Jordan Davis will not be on this team. Why? Money. The Eagles have been cost-cutting themselves. Not because they're broke and they're in cap hell like the Saints. They're financially responsible. And they're fiscally responsible in how they pay people and what are premium positions. Paying 2 defensive tackles in excess of $55 million, I can't think up his skirt. Not when I could get a guy in the 3rd and 4th round or draft a guy and put him on a rookie contract, move off of Jordan Davis, maybe trade him for a 3rd round pick, which obviously would be a failure of a player. Hey, a lot of people are in love with the guy. Why wouldn't you be? Plays in a great conference. He's productive. He's got great size. We gave you all the Bledsoe intangibles. Okay? Here. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you like this player? Absolutely. I mean, here. Defensive tackle. And listen, this is Nolan. A lot of people like him. But did you hear once again, did you hear the fluctuation when it came to how people see him? Here's Nolan. 2-year transfer. A&M. Versatile. Nolan has an ideal frame. This is the Bledsoe report. This is what the Eagles go off of when they evaluated him. Great, powerful, and athletic. Shows a quick first step. ability to shoot violent hands, disruptive in plays. Here's some of the things. On the interior, he can bull rush, he can stunt the gap, shows an inside rip move, stacks moves on top of each other, which means he has a repertoire, will occasionally get too high. That's what Jordan Davis and Mozzie Smith do. That already tells me a little bit about him, but not devastating. And he gets stalemated. You know what that means? He stops his feet. Stop your feet in the NFL, you can't play in this league if you stop your feet. By the way, that's not my assessment. That's the Eagles' assessment of the kid. Can get upright out of his stance, and pad level is somewhat inconsistent. Some balance issues, gets knocked on his ass. These are some of the negatives. He gets knocked off his feet. But here's what they finish with. Has the elite ability to be an outstanding three technique in the National Football League and worth the risk. Okay? Will you hide when we draft the next superstar? Well, that ain't Jordan Davis, Jr. Where? In the first round? Second round? That's a good question here. There's a better chance the Eagles sign a superstar in the second round than they do in the first round. Why? You sign more talented players in the second round than in the first. That, and by the way, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. Okay? You sign more second-round stars than you do first-round stars. All right. So I want to do this Eagles drama. Big Sills Eagle Draft Day drama. What will be the questions tonight for the 89th NFL draft? If we missed the Super, I apologize, Hollywood. We'll get that up there for you, man. History shows this, Sill. Second round's king. Actually, big picking. The most productive round in pro football history is the third round. Thank you, Steve Mongo Michael. Absolutely. For the NFL, wrestling memories, the NFL needs to do a better job of getting guys into the Hall of Fame that are ill. And they got him in just in the nick of time. So he was able. I knew Mongo very well. Him and Manny Fernandez were people that I patterned my game after, and a massive fan of Steve McMichael, Texas Longhorn guy, college and pro football Hall of Famer, was on that 85 Bears defense, was initially, get this, you want to hear something crazy? He was initially drafted by the New England Patriots, and he was a colossal failure there. Why? Well, you didn't have Buddy Ryan up there. You didn't have a very good defensive coach up there. It wasn't a very good organization at that time when the Sullivans owned the team. See how many players go to places, and you go to a place and you ruin a guy's career. He goes to the Bears, Buddy Ryan and the Bears save his career. Very simple. There's no getting around those coincidences. It's important where you're drafted. I heard John McMullen say something that's so true, and this is one of the greatest. Let me tell you on draft night tonight, if you're a potential NFL prospect, what do you think the greatest thing the Eagles do in the draft? What do you think is the greatest thing they do? What's the best thing the Philadelphia Eagles do in the draft? What would you think? Best thing they do. Show patience. I'm going to write that down there, man, because that's a great take. Trading up. No. 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 John McMullen said it. When's the last time an Eagle guy who was drafted didn't make either the practice squad or the regular 53-man roster? That is unbelievable. So if you're a 7th rounder, you have just as much chance of making it as you do if you're a 1st rounder. That's insane great. That's insane great. In my day, if you weren't drafted in the top 3 rounds, your chances after round 3 of making the NFL, now it was only 47 guys or 45 guys back in the day. Now 71 guys. Okay? 71 guys can make a roster, so it's a little bit easier to make a roster today than back in my time. But nobody doesn't or isn't given the opportunity to make the ball club. 7th rounders never made the ball club back in the day. 6th rounders, 5th rounders, 4th rounders. A guy like Jordan Mailata would never be an NFL player in the 80s and 90s. He would never be a player. You know why? He would have been a camp guy and they would have cut him. They would never have given him a chance. No way. Today, and especially in Philly, that is not true. They're going to give you every chance. Okay? Look at this guy. Yeah, anyone talking bad about Davis coming out of Georgia is talking out of their ass. His last season at Georgia was more dominant than Carter's was. And you know what I said when he came out? Go back and look at the tape. He's a good ball player at 22. He has no production whatsoever. 9 sacks in 4 years. This guy's talking out of his ass. You're trying to tell me you think that Jordan Davis had a better career at Georgia than Jalen Carter? This guy's full of shit. Look the numbers up. 9 sacks in 4 years Jordan Davis had. This guy's never been productive. That's not true. If Howie drafts right, we're Super Bowl contender still. No. Rookies aren't going to make that much of it. So you're going to put a rookie at corner, rookie in safety, rookie at edge, and rookie at defensive tackle. And that's going to change your fortunes? I don't think so. How many years did it take all those guys to become productive that you lost? Took Milton 3. Josh probably 3. How many years does it take Reed Blankenship to get good? Okay. DeJean and Q were off the charts great early. DeJean could play outside, but he's an all-pro slot. No, he can't play outside. I'm convinced that the change is against what they want, and I don't believe they think or they would put him there. Having a corner versus a slot corner, there's more of a priority. Now, I think he was great in the slot, but I don't believe that. You're in desperate need of a corner. And if you think he's that to take Darius Slay over, you should put him there. And to sit here and say, well, you know what, maybe next year. Dude, there's a spot open. I completely disagree with that. If they thought he could play corner, they would put him there. And his agent is chirping, going, so did you see what they did for a safety? They just gave a safety $20 million a year. Okay? A safety. The highest paid slot is $13.5. The highest paid corner is 32. Who would you rather be? If you're so good and you can play the corner, I would be chirping. Hey, I want to play corner. Well, we don't want you to. No, you don't think I can. Okay? Look at this guy. Who says players do what's best for the team when it comes to their pocketbook? You got to maximize every dollar you can get. Let's see it. I don't believe it. I do, unlike as much as you guys glaze Cooper and myself included, I don't think he can play corner. Or they'd put him out there. They would have put him out there last year. He was so good in the slot. I got it. But you got away with Avonte Maddox in the slot, and you got to a Super Bowl in 22 with Avonte Maddox in the slot. You had two guys play Pro Bowl, two-eye safety corner in a zone defense, and Bradbury and Slay. Don't you think it'd be advantageous to you not to put him out there? Why wouldn't you put him out there? I mean, financially. We're also going to look at some dark horse draft picks. Great night tonight. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Give me a total on that. Doom and gloom. What are we doom and glooming? Again, can't have a conversation with somebody without talking about direction, strengths and weaknesses before somebody thinks they're talking about their fucking girlfriend or boyfriend. Keith, I would imagine, his boyfriend. Damn, Sills. They got Uncle Shay Shay. Yeah, I saw that. Hey, they always come after you, my friend, when you're on top. Guy's getting ready to sign a $100 million deal, and somebody parachutes in. How you doing? Yeah. All right, let's get to the big Sills Eagle drama on draft day. Hey, by the way, Pump, I don't know, man. Shannon likes to wear a mask or something. I don't know, man. I'm just going to stay away from that one because, I'm not like a freak show like that. And I don't even know half the stuff they're talking about. Mask and straps. And I don't know. I don't know where they're going with that. So I'm going to leave that alone. We're a family show. I heard something with a strap and, a mask. Dominate. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm going to lay off that one. That for me is a little bit, hey, that's over my pay grade. I guess when you make that kind of money and you're making 30, 40 million, straps and dominatrix and mask and shit, that's part of your culture, I would imagine. For me, I'm a simple old dude, man. Hey, how you doing, honey? Let's schedule it on the counter. We're ready to rock. That's all. Hey, that's his big Sills. There's nothing very freaky about me here, man. I don't know. It's like, yeah. So we're going to move off that one. Yeah, we're a family operation here, man. Plus my aunt watches. Yeah, hit that like button. Give me a total, guys. I don't know. I've never been to a Diddy party, and I have no idea what that even means. Somebody told me, I guess. I don't know. All right. Eagle drama tonight. Okay? Hit that like button. Let's go, man. Great night tonight. 89th NFL draft. So let's start going along the lines here with Eagle drama tonight. Then we'll do the NFL. I'm getting hammered for my takes on Shedeur Sanders. And you know what? I personally don't give a shit. A lot of people think it's got a lot to do with black and white. You see somebody, that ML football guy made up that they're ripping Shedeur Sanders because he's got his hat on sideways. Or backwards it was. And Jackson Dart had his on and he didn't get any heat. I'm like, show me where anyone gave him heat for that. And they said, well, Colin Cowherd did and Jason McIntyre. Well, those guys are dick-swinging Democrats. Or liberals, I should say. Okay? So those guys, again, I'm not being, again, if I like people in the middle. Okay. I like people in the middle. Democrat, Republican, I like people in the middle. So those guys rip Tom Brady. Those guys rip Josh Allen for the hat backwards. But they want to make it race. There's nothing race about it. Those guys wearing your hat backwards, I think it's stupid. It's a stupid conversation. It's got nothing to do with playing ball. I think it's dumb. I think it's just something because that's a conservative way of looking at stupid shit. It is. That's dumb. I don't get it. Okay? All right. We'll talk more about him in a minute. Eagle drama tonight. That's right, Sue. Just looking for content, I guess. Not me, man. My issues with Shedeur Sanders are strictly football. I don't give a shit about his dad. His dad can't go out and play for him. His dad can't walk into a locker room for him. That's got nothing to do with his dad. Okay? All right, here we go. Do the Eagles move up, stay at 32, or do they move down? You missed my last super and would trade a 4 Brisker? Xander, we may have missed the super here with the 2-time. Thank you. We appreciate you bringing supers to the show here. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate supporting the program. The 2-time. I know Xander's doing a lot of stuff right now, so if we can't get that up, just repost it and I'll read it. Okay? So we appreciate that, brother. What do they do? Do they move up? Stand pat? Or do they move down? What do they do? Me? I think they're going to take a player there. Dan, what would it take to pry wide receiver Andre Isoldes from the Bengals and put them in the slot? They don't do anything with wide receiver 3. I don't think that's a conversation at all. I think personally, what would be best for that offense is if they went to a fullback set, got rid of the third down or third receiver in the offense, like in Baltimore, and had a run blocking tight end. That's how I would cosmetically change the Eagles this coming 2025 season. I would cosmetically change the Eagle offense and their approach a little bit. You know how? Again, like I just said, Van Summeren's your fullback full-time. Get rid of wide receiver 3. It's a non-productive position. You got killed on a third-round trade with Jahan Dotson, and your tight end is a non-factor almost the entire season. I mean, it's best fit, in my opinion, to get rid of receiver 3, go fullback, and go more with a run-dominant tight end. That would improve your blocking scheme for your quarterback and for Barkley. It might make you more productive on the numbers as well. Who do you, get this guy? Who took over, in your opinion, last year for wide receiver 3? Who took over for wide receiver 3 last year? Who was really the third best receiving option a year ago when it came to production? I thought it was Barkley. I thought it was Saquon. And so that's why, again, they ended up taking Goddard, putting him on the open market because they're looking to downsize that because I think they're going to have a cosmetic change to the offense. You know how you make the offense better? Do what you do best. Get rid of that tight end and the $15 million because you gave it to Barkley. Make Barkley maybe a tad bit more productive in the passing game. Do you not agree that for me, one thing I would like to see Barkley, you put Barkley in open space, he's impossible to get on the ground. Get a screen game going finally. Get a short intermediate passing game going with him. Use him more and drop him in the slot. Put a fullback back there. Have max protection on your quarterback and when it comes into your run game. I think that's how you enhance the offense and increase your passing game. Max protection, Van Sumeren and Barkley, who are great pass protectors. And you've got Harrison Bryant, who's known for his blocking, and all up and down the line. It improves your pass protection, which probably will improve the quarterback's ability to sit back there, hold the ball a little longer, and let those developing routes happen. That's what I would do. Because would you not agree? The last 4 years, what's the point of having a tight end and a third wide receiver? The third wide receiver role in Philly, you guys truly start every series out 1st and 8. But you also start every series out with 10 versus 11. You never get anything out of receiver 3. Why even put a guy there? It makes the only reason that I think you put a third wide receiver on the field is because Nick's background is wide receivers. That was his position that he was the best at, was being a wide receiver coach. That's his forte. I think the only reason there's 3 wideouts on the field at all is because of Nick. Okay? You don't go there. And by the way, no defensive guy sitting there going, hey, you know that slot receiver the Eagles have? Holy cow, man. That guy, you got to put a guy on a body on him. Nobody gives a shit about that guy. He's a nobody. Shit, your best number 3 wide receiver the last 4 years has been Quez Watkins. I mean, if Quez Watkins is your third best guy, you don't have a guy. Hey, so the Eagles don't pick up the 5th-year option on Jahan Dotson. How'd that trade go? Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Put Van Sumeren in that fullback. That's what I would do. Bob, trading up and down depends on how the quarterbacks fall. I happen to agree with this. Move up with your guy. If the quarterbacks fall, sit tight and wait for the trade because teams will want to get back into the first. I completely agree with that, and I think that is exactly the mentality that if I'm Howie, sitting here at 3:02 Eastern time, hours before the draft, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I don't know what's going to be. There is no way in the world you know who you're taking right now. You've got a collection of guys that you have an idea on who you like. And if it's within reason, you'll go get it. If not, you're not going to trade a multiple of picks for a guy who you kind of like. There's a lot of guys in this draft that are kind of like guys. Hit the like button. Do you not agree, guys? I tried to point this out to you. In this draft tonight, there's only 3 surefire things. It's the top 3 picks in the draft. Cam, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. After that, get this. This shows you. Here, I didn't finish that yet. Did I give you all those guys? On the ranges? On how far these guys could go? Here. Yeah. Nobody knows about Walter Nolan. Guy could be the 8th pick. or the 42nd pick. Pierce, highest is 16th. Furthest is 44. What's that tell you? It's a risky pick. Nobody knows who they are. The Connerly and Maxwell Hairston picks are safer. They're down in the bottom, top of the second. Dude, if Josh Connerly and Maxwell Hairston move down to the second round, and I can move down in there and I can make a move with Tennessee, Cleveland, the Raiders, or the Giants, and I kind of like a guy at 24 and Nolan's taken already, why would I jump up to grab a guy unless it's Mike Green? Why would I do that? I wouldn't do it. Let me say that there's a better chance that Walter Nolan and James Pierce fall into the second round. There's a great chance those guys do. One or the other. Sills, don't you think they're good players? Yeah, I do. I don't think they're special. Walter Nolan's not a special player. He's a very good player. That's not Jalen Carter. I mean, when you put his tape on, honestly, when you put on Walter Nolan's tape, do you see even Jordan Davis when he was at Georgia? Do you? Who was a better prospect coming out of college, Walter Nolan or Jordan Davis? Who was a better prospect? Jordan Davis. Davis was a better prospect. He went freaking 13 in a good draft. I mean, here, let me give you another D tackle. Let's see here. Like when you like, do you guys see like when Dexter Lawrence came out of college? You see that? Those are special. Dexter Lawrence was special in college, and he's been special in the NFL. I mean, I think Walter Nolan's, don't get me wrong, I think he's a good ball player. He was, dude, Ole Miss had a lot of good football players on their team this year. They were a good team. They were a borderline playoff team in the Southeastern Conference. I'm not suggesting that he's not. But to sit there and go like this, hey, man, don't you see special with Walter Nolan? No. I don't see special with anybody in this draft outside of Hunter, Abdul Carter. Hell, I barely see special with Cam Ward. I don't see special at all with the quarterbacks. Don't talk yourself into special. You know what you're hearing now? Because guys' convictions are so important to them, they're talking themselves into a respected pick because they want to be right. This is not about being right. Here's something that I'll tell you guys, and I've done this practice, and I've done it here 4 years going in. By the way, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, tonight, I believe it's my 5th year anniversary that I've been on JAKIB. I think this is my 5th year anniversary being on JAKIB Sports today. My first show was the draft 5 years ago. And you guys have blown this show up and made it. Okay? So thank you. I just thought that. 5 years. Tonight, I started the program. Right, Xander? Our first show was the Devontae Smith draft. So, what has always been my mantra the whole time, you know what that's been? There's no bad pick. I didn't like the Devontae pick because I didn't think the Eagles and he was a physical guy. He never showed that when he was at Alabama. And I thought he'd get banged up in the NFL. Boy, did he prove me wrong. Devontae Smith has been over and above everything that you want in a wide. I thought he was going to be more of a Jameson Williams kind of guy, but it's not been. Okay? It has not been. 4-year anniversary. 4 years. Much love. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Khalid. It's 4 years. 4 years tonight. We did our first show in JAKIB. Think we changed the room a little bit in Philly? Tell you what we did. We elbowed our way in. They weren't going to open the door for us. I'm not talking JAKIB. We elbowed our way in. Like I always do. Okay? Here's what I will tell you tonight. If you take a player and you hear people do this, that's a shitty pick. Don't ever listen to that guy again. You know why? How do you know it's a shitty pick? It takes 3 years before you get a good assessment of what that guy's going to be. Until you see him play, his injury history, how he holds up with the attrition. He doesn't even have a helmet after tonight. He doesn't even have his practice gear. How do you know? Seals played a clip of your rant on WQAM for the Hurricanes. I think we have. Seals threw WIP out the window and into a trash can. Thank you, brother. Leon, more likely to happen. Nick getting extended this weekend or me having a chance with Lee Hand. Also, I think we trade for a vet player this weekend. That could happen. That could be something to do, Leon, with Dallas Goedert, okay? I think something's going to go on with Goddard or Huff these next 3 days. So let me move on to the second one here. I want DeJean in the slot. I'm sure you do. I'm sure his agent and he don't, though. Especially if they believed he could play out there. More money. You're trying to tell me, Mark? Highest paid slot corners making $12.3 million. The top corner in the league's making $32 million. So you're going to put $20 million in a trash can because you want DeJean on the slot and Cooper thinks he can play corner and you're going to burn over a 3-year contract, $60 million? That ain't working, dude. That ain't working. No player in his right mind is going to take a $60 million pay cut. That ain't happening. That's a stupid comment. You line up where your agent gets you the most maximum. Why do players then have agents? Why? So their coaches can tell them what to fucking do? How stupid are you? Congrats, Sills. Even though I don't always agree with you, I respect you for being straight with us. Brother, you're the perfect viewer. That's all I could ever ask for, right there. And for the record, I don't want you always agreeing with me. The most nauseating thing to do is tune on a radio show or a show like ours and hear people agreeing with the host. It's the worst form of entertainment I can ever agree with or watch, and I don't watch those shows. When a host goes on the air and thinks that his takes have to be the ones that all of you have to follow is insane. I like debate. That's why I do this. So I can get different forms of opinions. Hit the like button, guys. Fly, Eagles, fly. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I can't stand yes men. Number 2. So, Eagle drama. Do they move up? Do they stay? Do they move down? I think it's a storyline tonight. Will you be live with Zaner tonight during the draft? I don't believe so. I've got some other commitments I'm doing. However, I'm going to try to sneak on somewhere tonight. with after the pick, and I'll try to sneak on tonight. Okay, and I don't mean I have other commitments, like, because I told you, I don't spread myself around like that bullshit. I pick and choose. Okay, so Leon, I'm gonna definitely do something. I'll be there, like, to make a comment on the pick tonight. Okay. Number 2. Is it edge, DT, safety, or O-line? What do you think? Gotta love Cowgirls fans. They talk trash and haven't been to a meaningful game in 30 years. Sounds like Cowgirls fan. Right, Sills? Hey, dude. The Dallas Cowboys are the biggest full of shit team. They're as full of shit as the Lakers. Okay? They're the Dallas Kardashians. That's who they are. There's no context to them. There's no substance. The Eagles win. They win. Okay? They win. Plain and simple. The Cowboys are a TV reality show. By the way, the Cowboys have become to a point where it's not really fun any longer to rip the Cowboys. It's just not fun anymore. You know why? It's like crying wolf. It's just not worth watching. Their story is not entertaining to me anymore. I mean, if I could flex them out of this draft, I would. You know what I mean? I'm rooting against the Lakers. They're the villains for me, which makes me watch. Think about that, Jeff. That's how and you get me to a television set. I like villains. And the Lakers are the NBA villain to me. So I'm rooting against them. I hope they stay in the playoffs to make it entertaining. Okay, I do. Edge, DT, safety, O-line. Where do they go with their first selection? That could be in the first round or in the second round. You think the Eagles would ever think of moving out of the second round also? Probably not. Probably not. Next year's draft is 10 times better than this draft. I mean, there's 3 players in it that have blue chip grades on them. And like I said, after 3, you have a range from a player going from 4 to 24. How could you call that blue chip when you don't really have a grade on them? I mean, because you like them, I like when there's a consensus. Everyone likes this guy. This guy's a great football player. That's not hard. I don't want to hear 15 different opinions. 7 guys say no. 8 guys say this. That's why you go in the second, third, and fourth round after that. You know what you have? You have a bunch of second and third round picks going in the first round tonight. That's why it's so rangy. It's because you got second rounders in the draft tonight. I've been married for almost 10 years. So I'm a master debater. Well, what's that make me? I've been married almost 40 years. Crazy, huh? I've been almost married 40 years. Eagles will draft a wide receiver at 32. That, I can guarantee you, is not happening. 5 million Snow Bunnies, ESPN, Lakers in 5. Yeah, Prince, always a good one. Thank you for the supers. I appreciate that. Hit the like button, guys. That's funny. Hey, I saw that bullshit with the Eagles taking a wide receiver, that Luther Burden guy or whatever. I think he's from Missouri. And that I don't believe happens. Okay? Why would they need another wideout unless you're getting rid of AJ? And I don't believe that yet. I'm getting rid of it, right? Seals, can you see a situation where the Eagles use Davis and a pick to move up? No. No. The Eagles are not hey, guys, trading Jordan Davis, the Eagles are not giving up on him. They're debating right now whether to pick the 5th-year out. I'll tell you, the longer it goes, the worse it gets, though. Because usually they just snap that up, cut a deal. Look what they did for Devontae. As soon as the 5th-year option came up, what did they do? They packaged a deal with the 5th-year option and gave him a contract extension. I wonder if Vic is holding that up. Do we not agree that 5th-year option for Jordan Davis is being held up because they don't know what they're doing in the draft tonight? Would you agree? By the way, guys, hit the like button. Give me a total on the likes. Your super chats are spectacular today. Thank you. Would you agree that if they're waiting to see how this board falls, because if they grab the DT, I would think that would be a no-go for a 3-year contract extension, and they would pick the 5th-year up, giving him 2 years with him, and they would move off from year 3 when they had to address it if he hadn't produced. And plus, it gives them more of a runway with him of 2 years to figure out what to do. It gives them time. The 5th-year option gives them 2 years. So I would do that. Look, $12 million or $11.5, whatever it is, I don't have a problem paying that. The Eagles have a problem paying the extension because, once again, the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to go $15 million for Jordan Davis and then turn around and pay $40 next year and over $150 million in guarantees for Jalen Carter and 2 guys in the middle at $55 million, and 1 guy can't play third down. They're not doing that. Who in their right mind would pay a guy that doesn't play 25% of the games? Or 75% because he only plays 20 plays. Right? Why would you do that? All right. Number 3, Eagle drama in the draft tonight. What team do you think will trade with Howie? Who will be Howie's trade partner if he does move up? Vikings? Rams? Commanders? Cowboys? I would love if Howie can somehow draft Will Johnson, kid from Michigan. Never been really impressed with him. I thought he was good, but when I look at Will Johnson, do I see an elite corner? No. Does he make me want to take him and not give Keely Ringo a shot? Will Johnson doesn't inspire me. I want to be inspired by a pick. Man, that guy there. You know who inspires me? Mike Green. People that are within reach. Walter Nolan, Malachi, Derek Harmon. Those guys, Pierce, those guys kind of inspire me. No, Saints are too high. Vikings, Rams, Ravens. I like this. I like that. What team will be the trade partner for the Eagles tonight? Guys, give me a total on our likes. Keep banging away on those likes. Thank you. Number 4. What is the safest move tonight for the Eagles? What's the safest? Just sit there and let the board fall? Move out. I think that's the best move. The best move for me financially, acquiring more picks. What does Howie tell you? More picks, more chances of success. It's not just getting, again, why is it that you can get more success in the second and third round than in the first round? You know why? Best player available. It's not off of needs. You're drafting a great player at that. If the bet, do you know what happens after round one? You guys ever get into a game when you're in high school and you're picking dodgeball guys, or you're picking a game of hoops, and you got about 10 dudes for hoops? I'll take him. I'll take him. I'll take him. I'll take him. And you're stuck with the last guy. That's where the Eagles are. Everyone has a pick of dodgeball prior to the Eagles. I'll take him. I'll take him. When you're picking a team for dodgeball, you don't pick the worst guy first or the guy who's not the best talented guy. You pick who you think's the best athlete, has the best arm, is a guy who can really play with me, and we're going to try to win a game here. No matter what it is, tug of war, basketball, baseball, you pick the best guy. That's why rounds 2, 3, and 4, the Eagles are doing great at it. Why? They're not picking need at all. They're staying in a conference. They're staying in a school. They're staying in a profile. Former captains, ton of winning, national champions, great programs, spectacular coaching, great talent evaluating. It's the same as picking a dodgeball team. Same thing. That's why when you guys are telling me, well, the Eagles should move up to 30. Oh, wait a minute here. What am I moving up for? So I can get the fourth best guy on my dodgeball team? I mean, I don't know. I don't believe that. I want to give myself a chance of players making my team an impact. Look how patient they were a year ago with Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean was projected anywhere from 20 to 60 a year ago. 20 to 60. If you had to do that all over again, you could make the comment that he's anywhere from 8 to 15. That's how bad everybody missed on him. I'm not talking about being safe. I'm talking about being smart. Does that guy give me the best chances of success if I pick him? Because like I said, nobody knows anything about whether or not these guys are going to translate their game to the next level. You have no idea. I don't. This is all projection. Every single thing that you're doing tonight, anybody saying that they have it on good knowledge that this guy's going to be a great NFLer is full of shit. You have no idea. I've seen so many great players go into the draft that were exceptional college football. Explain to me why Tebow wasn't a good NFL guy. He was arguably one of the greatest college football players, if not the top 3 or not the best college football quarterback of all time. And Mahomes couldn't win shit at Texas Tech. How come that didn't work out for him in the NFL? Well, because his game didn't translate. Even though he had a great college career, his game never translated. And he was never able to bring his skill set to the NFL level. Half the draft is this guy. Half the draft is Tim Tebow. Do you know this? Half the draft is Tim Tebow. Really a great player in college. Okay? Great player in college. Couldn't make it with the Jets, New England, Denver, Jacksonville. He had his shots. I mean, well, I'm 1,000% Walter Nolan will translate his game. Yeah, I'm sure they said the same shit in Dallas about Mozzie Smith. Jerry Jones was comparing him to Reggie White. How high will they draft a tight end tonight? And do you think they draft a tight end? I'll tell you this. If they don't draft a tight end tonight and they don't do anything at the position, that tells me that they have downsized that position and they're not doing anything. Free agency, trade, anything. If they don't take a tight end and they take a guy in the 5th or 6th round, is that really addressing it with an equity pick? No way. No way. If they don't take a tight end in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round tonight, they are looking at doing what I said they're going to do. They are going to give that offense a facelift. And they're going to change the way that they do business at tight end financially and passing game production-wise. Go with a fullback, take the 3rd wide out at, not picking up the 5th-year option. Why wouldn't you pick the 5th-year option up on Jahan Dotson? You know why? Howie admitted by not picking that 5th year up that it was a bad move and surrendering a 3rd round. He surrendered that. He's telling you that was a bad move by me. When he didn't pick that 5th year option up, by the way, you got to love the Philly media. They're not really saying anything, but he lost a 3rd round pick on a horrible move. And he admitted it yesterday. It's okay. Not everybody hits. Okay? But that's a pretty big equity pick. That 3rd round, I'd like to have had that 3rd round to take a tight end. Okay? I mean, no? All right. Will the draft do this? Will it tell us the future tonight of Jordan Davis? I think his 5th year option, how they are going to address an extension, I think it's got a lot to do with tonight. They take a DT, that tells you a lot. They're not happy with him. So wait a minute. You're going to go in the last 3 picks or the 3 of the last 4 drafts. You're going to draft another 1st round guy at defensive tackle, and you're going to try to explain to me you're happy with Jordan Davis? Okay. I don't believe that. 3 DTs in the last 4 drafts is what you're telling me, that they're happy with Davis. Okay, I want to see that. So if they do that tonight, they're admitting they're not that thrilled that he's not a 3-down guy. Right? Hey, get this. A lot of questions. And a lot of these questions and a lot of our off-season questions are going to be answered tonight in their actions. Don't listen to them. You could almost mute the TV tonight. Watch what they do. Abe, all these issues come back to the Reddick trade. I think all these issues actually come back to the Bryce Huff signing. Okay, well, that's some collateral damage because of Reddick involved in that deal as well. You could add that in there. Sure, Abe. Okay, I'll extend that in there and tie that to it. Yeah. Okay. Number 7. Will Goddard or Huff be part of a trade after day 1? I think if they can move both those guys, they want to. But Howie's going to have to eat half that contract. 3 years, $51 million. He's got 2 on it. You can, again, You can move him because you can defer the money and the hits of the cap. 2 years, according to the collective bargaining agreement. Your cap hits, you can spread them out. Dead money. Doesn't have to be a one-time hit. You could spread that stuff out. So, does he eat money? I find it hard to believe on Huff that they would eat money on a trade and take a cap hit also. He is a colossal disaster. Yet, if I got 5 sacks out of him this year, that's a win. At least he wasn't a complete flop. Honestly, if I got 5 sacks out of Bryce Huff, I would be like, geez, of course he's not 17-8 or 5 or whatever it is, but Jesus criminy. At least it wasn't a complete disaster. You know what I'm saying? Number 8. How much influence do you think Vic Fangio will have in tonight's NFL draft? How much? How much impact do you think he has in tonight's draft? I think a ton. I think Vic Fangio has a ton of influence tonight. I mean, I'm not telling you who they're going to, I'm not telling you he's going to go. I think Vic's probably got 3 dudes. And I'll tell you why we know this. Go back with me a year ago. Do you remember when they were preparing this? I believe this was the regular season game with the Rams. And remember what he said about Jared Verse and Fisk from Florida State? Somebody asked in the pit, hey, what'd you make of the guys in the draft? Did you like any of those guys that the Rams took, and were you interested in any of them? Remember what he said, and I'm paraphrasing it here. Vic goes, well, you can't draft them all. Those guys are great players. I love both those guys. They were just gone. I think he was isolating Verse. I think Vic wanted Verse. Okay, I do. I think Vic wanted Verse. Hey, Kyle, do me a favor. What pick did Jared Verse go? Was it before or was it after Quinyon Mitchell? Because whatever you tell me, because I think Fisk went after Mitchell. Okay, I think he was after. Okay, so Jared Verse went before Q. I think last year the Eagles wanted Jared Verse. That's who I think they wanted. And then they landed on Q. Vic told you when they asked him at that presser during the week of the Rams game. I love the player. Okay, he was just gone. Would you have taken him? He didn't answer that. I'm not Abe. That's not what I'm saying. That's hindsight. Jared Verse was the defensive rookie of the year. I'm not saying both those guys are good ball players. I think the Eagles wanted Jared Verse last year and not Q. That's who I think Vic had their mindset on. And again, that'll tell you. I mean, the guy Rams week was telling you that. Love the player. High grade on him. He was gone. Those were his words. He was gone. And so they landed on Q. Okay. Hey, it's okay. I mean, both won. Okay, both won. By the way, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what Vic Fangio said. Okay? Dude, that's not what your D coordinator said. When asked the question, what'd you think of Verse? We had a high grade on him. How come you didn't take him? He goes, he was gone already. That's what he said. Dude, it's not a shot at Q. You know why? Think about this. You got Devontae Smith. The Cowboys were trying to get Patrick Surtain. You know who they landed on? Micah Parsons. You think they're upset about that? Probably not. Jesus Christ. Relax. God, you're right. Listen, dude. Whatever, man. I think they wanted him. You had Bradbury coming off of here. Think about this too. You had two scenarios lined up. For whatever reason, Howie Roseman was paying $30 million a year ago in corners with two dudes, and he didn't even play one of them. Two dudes, $30 million. Why? Because Howie signed a shitty. I'll tell you this. You know, everyone forgets this point, but Howie has signed two shitty deals in a row, 2 years in a row. The Bradbury deal, I would have did it too. Coming off a Pro Bowl season and a Huff deal. Those were terrible. He has had more successes. Yes. Absolutely. Especially with those rookies hitting of a year ago. Make no mistake about it. The rookies were the key, and the free agents of Barkley, Becton, and Bond were the keys. Okay? And the success of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Let's go down to another one. Will Howie Roseman trade the 32nd pick for a current NFL player? I think this is probably the most unlikely that you'll see in the draft is that one there. Now, I do think there could be a trade of a player or multiple trade picks for a player. Like, could I see Howie scour the rosters and trade for a corner that's on a team right now? Yes. There is no way they're happy with the current personnel that they have at corner or edge right now. They have high hopes on the edge guys. They have massive suspect questions in the secondary. Who's playing the strong safety and who's playing corner? Half your secondary is gone. Slay's going to be a tough player to replace. Okay? He is. He's going to be a tough player. All right. Hit the like button. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget, Jason Cole's going to join us at 4:30. Hopefully, we're able to catch up with Xander here in a couple minutes, get his takes too, because I know tonight he's going to be streaming live, if I'm not mistaken, during the draft. So hopefully we're able to catch up with him. I do think there's going to be NFL drama tonight as well. Hit the like button, guys. Hey, where's Mark Holmes? He's in Palookaville with the Dallas Cowboys right now. That's where he is. Now, I do think there's going to be NFL drama tonight when it comes to the draft. Drama in the draft is what I coined it. Where does Shedeur Sanders go? Okay? Where does Shedeur Sanders go? Where does he go tonight? Does he go in the first round? Does he go in the second round? Where does he go? What round does he go in tonight? Number 2. Will Travis Hunter go to a team that will use him on both sides of the football? Will there be a team that will take him? Is Cleveland planning on using him on both sides? Will the Giants? Number 3. What players do you believe are the sure picks in this first round? Abdul Carter and Hunter. The rest of them, I don't know. I think those two guys, get this. Do you think there's more of a conversation if you're the Eagles on how good Travis Hunter is or how good Walter Nolan is? Where do you think there's more of a what do you think? There's just more of a question on. Pick any player the Eagles are potentially looking at. Any player. And then line him up against Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. You may not like Hunter, but nobody in their right mind would say that Walter Nolan is a better pick than Travis Hunter or a better prospect. And the same thing with Carter. There's other people that think the kid from Michigan's better than Walter Nolan. I think the sneak pick for the Eagles tonight is Mike Green. If Mike Green is down there at 32, do you take him? Do you take him? Get this. Strange draft. Jack, the reason it's a strange draft is because you've got a ton of second round prospects and you're trying to make them look and sound like first rounders. There's a ton of players in this draft that are second round dudes and third round guys. The further you get closer to the bottom of the draft, there are more third round guys. I'm not as high as everyone else is. You've talked to most of the people have talked them. Get this. I'm not saying our guys at all in this, but if you tune on any show, just like you do on the news, you go from being a COVID expert to being a tariff expert. You ever ask yourself, when you're watching a host and he's hosting a show, he goes from being a COVID expert, all of a sudden now he's a tariff expert. And you sit here and you're listening to the guy going, Jesus, really? Wow. It's because they can sell it. They talk themselves into thinking they are experts, when in theory you're not. And 90% of the people who work in the NFL don't cover college football. Sills, what grade would you give if somehow we got Nolan, Nick Scourton from A&M, the corner Porter, trade a fifth, late pick for Meyer, and signed Simmons after the draft? Josh Simmons, are you suggesting that offensive lineman from Ohio State's not going to go in the first round? That I don't think. He's not going past the first two rounds. Here's what I would say about that. People would go A+ grade, like the guy Elliott Shore, Spitz guy, whatever, would give you a A+ grade. What I would say to that would be, You got the highest chance of probability of finding a star out of one of these players in one of these moves. Last year was the exception where you had two, maybe even 2.5, because Hunt came on. I didn't even think twice of that pick. I didn't like it. Kid from a college I'd never heard of. I never seen the guy. I mean, I cover college football every week. I didn't even have any idea where they were. That was, in my opinion, of all the draft picks the Eagles had a year ago, that was the biggest gamble at 3 than anybody they had and anyone they had taken on the board last year. Who the hell was that kid? And that kid had impact. That kid picked up some slack for the lack of depth at defensive end, and he was more of a factor. Think about this. Jalix Hunt was more of a factor in the postseason for the Eagles than Bryce Huff's $17.8 million. Now, I want to ask you this again, and I want to put this here to you. When you guys are sitting there talking about the current people that are on your roster right now, think about what Howie did there. Howie deactivated a guy who was healthy heading into the postseason. They activated him, deactivated him for the Super Bowl. Jalix Hunt was picking up a lot of the reps and getting quality reps. Vic had no problem going to him. A year ago, when you were talking about a guy playing corner, Keely Ringo was nowhere in the radar for Vic. And you could easily have played him, knowing full well you're probably moving off a sleigh in the offseason because of money and age and wear and tear. But you never addressed that with Keely Ringo. There is no way Vic Fangio thinks that kid can win that job. There's no way. That's why they brought in, on Vic's suggestion, in my opinion, that's why they brought in a ton of these corners and secondary guys. Don't listen to them. Watch their movement. Okay? Watch how they win. Watch what they say and do. Okay? Speaking of that, who was more of a red flag guy? Mike Green or James Pierce? You know, when I hear conversations about guys, and I hear these so-called, you have to remember something about rumors and where they come from. Every single contract that gets published right away, as soon as the player is signed in free agency or whatever they sign with an extension, the league has 48 hours to look over the contracts to make sure it's compatible with the collective bargaining agreement. The league does not release these numbers until it's vetted through the NFLPA and the NFL lawyers on Park Avenue. So every time you see a contract that's put out there, that's agent talking. Drew Rosenhaus, CAA, Clutch, Nicole Lynn, that's them doing that. Okay. Anytime you hear, well, Walter Nolan has some whispers about him. Mike Green has some shady past because he was involved in something when he really wasn't. I mean, this goes back to like the Matt Araiza stuff. Matt Araiza was exonerated. But because he was involved in the conversation, that was a red flag enough for Dom or anyone to go, you know, it's a red flag. Why? Because he's in the conversation. If I'm a team like the Eagles, do I want to take that on? I'll tell you what I do always appreciate with Andy Reid. Andy Reid always looks at that kind of stuff. And you know what Andy Reid does? Because I think because of the situations with his own kids and his own personal life on how things have gone with Michael Vick, how things went with Ariza, I think he always believes in second chances if the T's can be crossed and the I's can be dotted. I don't think Andy listens to anybody's intel. I think Andy has his own book of intel. And I think that's how he looks at players. And that's why he's had success in drafting guys, is because he doesn't take the word of others. He does his own research and has his own security people look at a particular guy, and then he talks to him. And I think that's the sign of a great coach. The guys who just automatically just dismiss that, and how he's walked that back. You can't dismiss guys like Jordan, like Jalen Carter, because of an unfortunate situation. I would never. I didn't have any problem drafting him. Okay? You think he meant to kill somebody or be involved with somebody who was killed? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, is it poor decision? Let me tell you why I don't like a guy like that guy, Greg. What was his name? That guy, Gregory. Do you remember, who was that guy's name? Randy Gregory? Do you remember Randy Gregory? This was my take on Randy Gregory. Do you remember him? You remember that guy Gregory that came out of Nebraska? I think you'll dig this. Remember Randy Gregory? We're going to get Xander up here in a second. Remember? Here was my problem with him out of Nebraska. So his agent told him, hey, don't smoke pot. You're going to be drug tested going to Indianapolis. What did the guy do? He smokes weed and he gets busted for it. I don't care if you smoke pot. I care you made a poor decision the week heading into a drug test when you know you're going to be drug tested, and you made a poor, stupid decision on your life. That's decision making. I said that guy makes poor decisions. I don't want that. I want guys who are going to learn from their mistakes. You know, look, like I said, the agent told, he was a first-round kid out of Nebraska. And I was like this, I don't care he smoked pot. I care when he did it. Bro, they told you not to do it. You're going to be the first thing you busted. You failed drug test. You know why I loved Honey Badger? Do you know how many times Honey Badger was busted at LSU for marijuana? Do you want to know? Like 9 times. When someone asked him, you know what he said? I got to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm not doing that because it's hurting my career. And I've got to make sure that I am that. He's never been busted again. Confronting your issues, owning up to them, not doing them over. I'm good with those guys. I'll draft them every night. All right. Like I said, I think tonight's draft, I think a lot of people are trying to sell themselves on it. There's 3 dudes that are for sure. All right. What happens tonight? I'm going to go over the drama here with Xander here. Going to be a great night tonight. By the way, they do a great job in the morning, and you guys must watch that show. It's Birds 365. Let's bring our boy in now. Big Z, Xander Kraus. Let's bring him in here, man.
What's up, Sills? How you doing, brother?
All good, brother. Man, appreciate you doing this here.
Sorry I'm late. I had a little production work I was working on there.
Gotcha, man. Well, shit, anything to get the production going up here because today's going to be a productive day, to say the least here, too. So, if Mike Green's there at 32, would you take him?
Absolutely. I would run to the podium. I'd take him before Nolan. I'd take him before Starks. I would take him before maybe anybody that we talked about. Now, I think that kid is damn good, man. You watch him on tape, He's got 4 moves. He's probably the most polished player defensively in the draft. That's looks on tape. It's never a guarantee, obviously, but looks on tape like he's going to be ready for the NFL day one.
Don't you agree that, to me, when I hear outside noise about somebody, I've got to be convinced in my own process and what I do and how I go about it. The Eagles have had numerous guys that have had, I like to call dents in the fender. I believe in the Eagle process and how they vet guys. I believe in Big Dom. I believe that if that guy gave him the green light to go get that guy, I'm going to take that guy too. I think if I'm praying by the way, if he falls down to 27, I would move up to potentially get him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he'll fall that far. I think he's going to Atlanta at 15. I think he's a perfect fit. They've been looking for an edge rusher for how many years? I think he's a perfect fit in Atlanta. I could see that.
And Raheem is a guy that would overlook that.
Yep.
If the intel, so would a guy like Rich McKay and those guys, they would overlook that kind of stuff.
I'm not going to lie. That situation with him bothers me.
Like how
I'm not trying to be insensitive to maybe the potential victim that's out there, if there is one. But are you seriously going to tell me that this guy is going to get cost millions of dollars and a reputational damage and all of these things on something that's never been even filed, addressed, made anything bigger than basically hearsay? I mean, that kind of stuff absolutely drives me insane, drives me bonkers. So the kid can flat out play. All the legal stuff doesn't even seem like it exists. So, yeah, that bothers me, though. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's like the Matarizza stuff.
Yeah, it bothers me. Exactly. And that kid's in the league. That kid was supposed to be a draft pick. He was supposed to be one of the best punters ever taken in the draft. Yeah, bothers me for sure.
Especially when you come back and you find out even the district attorney goes, he wasn't there and it had nothing really to do with it. They threw his name into the conversation and they never even pressed charges against the kid.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
I do too. And I think that's got a lot to do with age and stuff.
I think what matters more with it is what you said of the decision making. Like, you got to try and get as much inside the player's head as you can of, we all make bad decisions when we're dumb. Let's be real. But
are you accountable?
Right. Are you accountable? Where did you go wrong? What happened? And again, I don't even know if anything happened. I mean, seriously, that's one of the funkiest things I've ever heard. That, a couple assaults, but there's nothing filed. There's been no legal anything on it. It's really an odd situation.
And they suspended, get this, and they suspended him after he transferred to Marshall. Like, he was already in the process of leaving Virginia to go to Marshall.
Yeah.
Then they suspended him because
they suspended him. Was there something that was real and tangible there? Like, that's where, see, this is where I will
already out the door.
Yeah, I'll let Big Dom and the team figure out whether he's worth it or not. But to me, he is 100% worth it. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near there at 32.
All right, I got some Eagle draft night drama for tonight.
What do you got?
Up, stay, or down? Where are we going tonight?
My gut instinct is go up, because I think if you get to even 27 or 28 above the Commanders, I think that improves your chances greatly at one of your guys falling, whether it be Walter Nolan, whether it be Shamar Stewart, whether it be Ezeraku, whether it be Nick Scourton, whoever the Eagles have their eye on in round one. I think that improves your odds greatly to get the guy you like. Now, if you sit there at 32, there is a chance that all those guys are off the board. Like legitimately, you're looking at, much lesser players at 32. But I think conventional wisdom would say move back, because, they talked about how few grades they have in first round. So the other thing that would make me happy, like, if you're going to move out of 32, all right, if we can get 2 picks in top 50, you're not going to get 2 picks in top 50 from trading out of 32. But if you move 32 to 40 and pick up maybe another 5th rounder or whatever it would be, a 4th rounder maybe, and then take that 4th or that 5th, couple it with another one of your already 5 5ths at your 4 5s that you already have, package that with 64 and move 64 up to the top 50. Now you have 40 and 50. Now I feel pretty good about having 2 picks in the top 50. I think that would be the best case scenario if they were to trade out of the first round.
Follow me here now. on what you just said. So Walter Nolan, this is where right now the range is for him. 20, being picked tonight. 32, 26, 8,
8. I saw that.
38, 39, 12, and 22. What does that tell you about them? Half the league likes him. Half the league thinks he's a lower end draft pick. The difference, like when you look at Hunter and Abdul Carter, 2 or 3.
Right.
Cam's going 1. There's 3 dudes in this draft, and only 3 dudes that are not falling out of that top 3. I got a guy here who I'm looking at could be the 8th pick in the draft or the 39th pick in the draft.
Right.
Boy,
that's crazy.
A big swing, dude.
Can I ask you what you think of that? I mean, you have more experience in this than me. That that would lead me to believe that information is missing. Teams are skewed on what they've seen on the player. Some people are buying the traits. Some people might not be buying the traits. Like, what do you see when you see that? Because you don't a range that big for a player that, when the range, it's one thing to say a guy could be 30 or 80. That's different. When you're 8 or 40, that's a big range and a big drop as well from the top of the draft. What do you see there?
I see half the league likes the draft. The other half thinks they're a bunch of second rounders being taken in the first round. Let me ask you this about Nolan, how I see this. You think Nolan's a better prospect coming out of college than Jordan Davis was?
Nolan Smith over Jordan?
I mean Walter Nolan.
Oh,
I know.
Walter Nolan. Over Walter Nolan.
Walter Nolan?
I actually think, I do. Because Walter Nolan still, for as good as he is, he does have some holes on the tape, man. He does have some holes on the tape where you see, I mean, I know he's got great traits and you can envision what he would look like next to Jalen Carter, but it's not all perfect.
No.
And Jordan Davis wasn't either. But I think when you thought about Jordan as a nose and the size and the speed, I think people looked at him as a much more polished, whether they were right or wrong. I think
Jordan Davis is a better athlete too.
Yeah, coming out. Yeah, he was. So coming out, I think Jordan was viewed higher at the time of the draft. Now, maybe you could look back in hindsight and say he won't be, which is fair. But at the time of the draft, I think he was.
I think he was a better prospect. And so if I'm looking at a guy who was overdrafted at 13, it should have been taken at 22. And I'm looking at Walter Nolan and I'm going like, you know what, man? I don't see that guy as a better prospect than what I saw a guy 2 years ago.
Yeah, right.
My own guy on my own team. Is he going to be better than that guy?
Well, I think the difference with them is they play different positions, kind of,
Well, I
like
think they envision,
themselves.
but I think they envision Jordan playing the 3 technique.
I think they did when they drafted him that eventually he would get to that point.
Yeah.
I think right now it looks like Jordan's not going to get to that point. So maybe you go to Walter Nolan because Walter Nolan's kind of the opposite of Jordan. He's a perfect 3 technique with pass rushing ability, a guy you can probably line up 3 technique, 4 technique on the outside, kind of like a Brandon Graham, but more of an interior base versus an outside base.
And bigger.
So, right, exactly. So I think in a way, Walter's different. I mean, if you have Jordan on the field, the thing I like most about Walter is he gives you I think he's going to be immediately or within the first 12 games, 80% as impactful as Milton Williams was last year because of his skill set and because of who's playing around him. Now, the Josh Sweat thing is going to be interesting because if you take Walter in the first round and you have Nolan on the other side and still Jalen Carter in the middle, that helps. But remember, Milton did have Josh Sweat on the outside last year, who was kind of an every down type of an edge rusher who could play the run, play the pass, and do all of those things. So now you have a question mark there in terms of, I'm high on Jalix, but is he an every down edge this year? I don't know about that. Uche, Ojulari, and if you spent your first on Nolan, you're obviously not getting one of the top edges in the draft.
Would this be a crazy take for me to say that I think that Jalix Hunt might have a better career than Nolan Smith?
No,
because he's big. Hold on. Because he's bigger and he'll hold up better because he is a guy that has more raw talent than what he has. And again, his availability will be more of a staple for Vic to use. And don't you see, when you see Jalen Hunt, don't you see Josh Sweat more than you see Nolan Smith?
I think I do. I think you're right. I think you might be right about this. Jalen Hunt might have a higher upside than Nolan. I mean, also factor in the injury.
Not talking shit on the kid. I'm
No,
just
but
saying.
factor in the injuries, factor in the size, factor in all of those things. You might look at Jalen Hunt as a guy that has more staying power for a longer period of time.
I didn't know he was 6'4".
He's a big dude, man. Big dude. And he's putting on weight too now. I mean, he's getting bigger. Remember, he started as a safety SILs in college.
Crazy.
So he hasn't had a lot of time to transform his body. You know, and you see that a lot with NFL players. You can remember the one I think of that comes to mind really big for me is TJ Edwards. You remember when he was an undrafted free agent and came to Philly, dude was tiny. You know, after a couple of years of bulking up, he was huge, you know. So NFL guys, their body changes in those first couple of years. I think that's fair. Jalen could have a higher upside.
I'd like to have seen him at Georgia, where he would have went in the draft.
Right. What would he have looked like at a premier school?
I want to show you something here. So he went to some place called Houston Christian.
Yeah, Houston Christian. Yep.
And he's a 3rd-round pick. So if he would have went to an SEC school, you're telling me he would have been a 10th pick?
Might have been.
Wow.
I think if you put him in, I think if you gave him the Kirby Smart a couple years prior when he was at Colgate, was he Colgate or Cornell?
Oh, Cornell, I think it was.
Cornell, I think he was. Yeah, it might have been Cornell. I think Kirby would have said, "What are you doing at safety, dude? Get down there, get on the edge. What are you doing, man? Your speed, you got power, your athleticism. Get on the edge." And then I think he probably would have maybe came into the draft with a better frame and a better build, better profile, better draft profile. So that's interesting to think about, though, right? I mean, who is this year's Jalen Hunt?
Yeah,
a Houston Christian guy that's got big upside. You know that doesn't really get the name recognition because of where he played.
And he still went in the 3rd round.
It's funny.
He was drafted ahead of Josh Sweat.
Doesn't Mike Green kind of fit that billing a little bit?
That's where I got that take from.
I mean, he's a Marshall kid. I know he played at Virginia, but
he looks like that guy. He looks like Mike Green, Jalen Hunt. I'll tell you this. When they put him in there to play and set the edge, he was not an issue like Bryce Huff was. Bryce Huff was a liability out there in the run game. This guy was not a liability. You know, that may be one of Howie's greatest picks. I think that guy this year, by the end of the season, I would not be shocked if he's starting.
Who, Jalen? Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think right now, I think he's probably your starter right now, right? I mean, over Ojulari or Uche, I think so.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Now, John keeps telling me they do not want to go into the season with those guys as your starters. So maybe they're not as sold yet. By the way, I love this comp right here by Mr. International. When I see Jalen Hunt, I see Josh Allen in Jacksonville. I think that is a perfect comp. A guy that's really quick around the edge, great athleticism, speed, power. Yes, exactly. Can get to the quarterback. That's a great comp there, Mr. International. Well done.
Here's James Pierce's ranges. 24, 36, 21, 16, 23, 37, 44, 27, 32. Again, you're all over the board here. I mean, I think people have talked themselves into thinking that there's a bunch of guys in this draft, and to me, there's a bunch of 2nd and 3rd round guys going in the 1st round. Here, let me show you something here with Josh Connerly. Josh Connerly's right. This sounds right. 33, 23, 30, 34, 32, 27, 23, 34, and 31. That guy's evaluated correctly. He's at the bottom of the draft.
Yeah.
He's a safe pick, and everyone in the league looks at him. Get this. Josh Connerly is the safest pick as the top 3 guys of – I'm not saying those 3 guys are going to pan out. I'm just saying that's what every evaluator looks at with the top 3, and they look at Connerly as being a bottom 5 guy. Here's Maxwell Hairston, cornerback. 38, 35, 33, 27, 43, 53. These are picks. 38, 29, and 37. Man, I get my corner in the 2nd round there.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's an interesting player. Did you hear what he said about the Eagles too down there
no,
in Green Bay? He was
no.
talking to Devin Jackson from the Inquirer. Just great work. He's been on Birds 365, and he said, I love my meeting with the Eagles. You can tell why they're a Super Bowl organization. They are serious. They're about their business. So I thought that was an interesting comment from a prospect on his meeting with the Eagles. That was Maxwell Hairston. Let me ask you something about James Pierce, because I really like this player. I think he's a guy that produced at such a high level consistently in the SEC. I know that's not a guarantee that you're going to
Clint
do it
likes
in
him.
college, but I like him too. I mean, I think he needs another pass rush move. I think he's got to, work on that second move and third move when you get in the NFL. But do you see a red flag on him? Like, Sills, a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago at the combine, remember he ran that quick 40 at like that 4.44, whatever it was. And, you saw him like top 10 in some mocks. And now I feel like I'm seeing him way down the board on most people's mocks, including guys like Albert Breer and Daniel Jeremiah, who are not saying they're better than everybody else, but they are plugged in with NFL teams. Daniel Jeremiah is friends with Howie and a couple of GMs like that. So I don't know. I
Jeremiah
think
was
it's
the
a little
former
bit of a
scout.
red flag.
Jeremiah was a former scout.
Yeah, for the Eagles. Yeah, he's boys with Howie. You think that's a red flag a little bit?
I think he's been productive for 3 years. I think that, when you watch him and you see his production, the only issue that I would have with him is that his frame he's a slight guy a little bit, I mean, 6'5".
Right.
He's
Yeah,
like
he's definitely slight.
40. He's not really, I mean, I think, and I've seen this with him, he gets washed off the edge a little bit. He's not a spectacular edge setter. And if you're going to have him playing out there, you better have somebody like Milton Williams, or you better have somebody like Sweat that's setting that edge and having him play behind. One of the reasons why I think the Eagles got away with not being elite at the perimeter was because you had great edge setters. You had guys that were setting the edge and keeping – I mean, look at the Super Bowl. You didn't blitz. Your front four got home the entire night.
That's one thing Nolan is actually really good at that, setting the edge and against the run. He's better against the run.
He plays bigger.
He's good against the run. That was actually what he was originally, did a lot of at Georgia. If you go back and watch his Georgia tape, he was a beast at stopping the run. Now, it obviously has to transit to the NFL, but it has for him so far. So, now you're not wrong about that. Not that, by the way, isn't that a question on Jalix Hunt?
Yes.
Right? I mean, right now you got speed, you got the power. It looks like you have the athleticism, everything you need, but are you going to be able to play the run? Are you going to be able to set the edge and do the things to make you a 3-down edge? I think that's probably the bigger question remaining on Jalix Hunt, because last year, as good as he was in the small time that he played, he was a rotational piece. He didn't have to set the edge,
But my equity that I spent is only a third rounder and not the 32nd pick. So, I mean, we're talking 50-year option. We're talking more money.
Yeah, there's a couple of people who hate what you said about Jalix having a bigger upside than Nolan, and I just don't think they're understanding what exactly you mean. If you factor in where Nolan is in his career and the damage his body's already taken, and you project out the next 8 years, I don't think Sills is saying Jalix is a better player right now. But if you tell me which player do you want for the next 10 years, I don't think you'd be crazy to say, give me the guy that's never been injured at the high, who hasn't reached his ceiling yet at all from an edge rushing standpoint, who still has a long way to go. You
still don't even know what he is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think that's crazy at all to say.
And he was, get this, and he was more of an impact in the postseason on your Super Bowl run than Bryce Huff was. A guy you gave a $17 million contract to, who everyone said was going to be a project. How about this? Would you not agree? The biggest surprise in the draft and how good he was Jalix Hunt.
Well, for the Eagles?
Yeah.
Well, you could say Cooper, man. I mean, I knew Cooper was going to be good. I don't think we expected him to be that good.
I don't think the guy from Houston, whatever it was, I thought that guy was 3 years away from playing.
I know you did. You didn't. By the way, you didn't like that pick very much. No. And I was with you. I'm not saying I loved it. I was like, what the heck is this?
John thought he was a project to him. By the end of the year, he was being productive.
Yeah. Well, most people thought he was a project. Let's be real. That's how he was basically promoted in the draft. He was a project player. So, no, there's no doubt about it.
We got Jason Cole coming up at the bottom. We're going to get to those supers in a minute. What did you make of what I said here? At the Eagles, let's say they don't draft a tight end. or they draft one in the 5th round.
I'm moving up from 64 to take Mason Taylor. Give me 64, package in a 5th, whatever it takes to get to 50, and take Mason Taylor right around 50. Come on, man. What are we doing at this position?
So my question is, how high do you think they're going to draft the tight end in this draft tonight?
Well, that's what I want.
This weekend.
Yeah, that's what I want them to do. It doesn't mean that's what they're going to do. I don't know. This is a weird one because, like, they haven't brought, or at least publicly, we don't know of any tight ends that they've met with. They haven't brought in any on top 30 visits. They did sign Harrison Bryant and Kylan Granson. Now, you can be like me and not believe that those guys are the fix, which I don't. But they did bring them in and haven't brought in anybody for the draft. So I don't think it means that they're not going to draft a tight end, but maybe it would show you they're not as worried about the tight end as we are. And I don't know what that means with Dallas Goedert, but it's an interesting thing, man. That's why I say just go get this Mason Taylor kid. 6'5", 265. I mean, I think this kid's going to have, big upside. Somebody commented yesterday, Xander's a dumbass saying he looks like Dallas Goedert. I'm like, he's not Dallas Goedert yet. You guys got to go back and remember. See, people grade Goddard now and then look at Taylor and say they're not. No crap, they're not the same. When we drafted Dallas Goedert at a South Dakota, at a North Dakota or whatever it was, he didn't block at all in college. Nobody asked him to block in college. He was the best receiver that team had. So when we drafted him, he was a player that caught the ball only. But because of his skill set, size, athleticism, and power, he became a good blocker. I see all those same traits in Mason Taylor. He's fast. He's pretty big. He's not undersized at all. He's got a good frame. I think he's going to grow into his body even more. I could see Taylor better. And, Big Bird, a lot of people like Fannin. I like Fannin as a receiver. I don't love him as a blocker. I don't see that type of upside for him. So I'm not really huge on Fannin. I won't lie to you, Big Birds.
Yeah, but be careful because that quarterback coach was the former head coach of his. That could play a factor in this thing here on draft night tonight where they take him in the 5th round. So keep an eye.
Let me ask you something. You think Howie Roseman, who loves the ego and he gets from you think he's going to hire a new quarterback coach from Bowling Green and let him make a selection for him in the NFL draft?
No, I think he's going to give him a little bit more insight, and we're going to find out tonight.
Well, that's true.
But we're going to find out how important. Well, I think Nick, his relationship with the head football coach Toledo, that might have swayed him on getting Q last year.
Maybe. That's not a bad thought. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we talked
where I got that from.
I'm just saying it's not a guarantee they're picking up this dude. Yeah, because of
What about my cosmetic look for your team this coming year? What if they're doing this? Why don't you just get rid of the 3rd wide receiver spot? Go back down to being a tight end dominant like Harrison Bryant. Get another blocking guy. Put a fullback in there. Go fullback set. 3 wides. You protect your quarterback. You protect your running back. You're going to have more time to throw the football, which gives your quarterback a chance to sit back in the pocket because he holds it and allows the routes to develop. Look what they did in Baltimore last year. They got rid of the 3rd wide receiver. What's his name? Threw for 4,100 yards last year and 40 touchdowns a season ago, and he almost won another MVP. Yeah, right. And you would improve your pass game. I mean, what about a cosmetic look like that? Because Howie admitted he fucked up on the 3rd round trade with the Commanders by not picking up that 5th-year option.
No, I don't know if he admitted that. I don't know
he
if
didn't.
Well, because they were never going to pay.
Lost the 3rd round pick.
I know. Well, you got a 5th back, so it was a swap. I'm with you. 3rd's way too much to give up, but they were never going to pick up. What was the option on him? Like $15 million?
I don't know.
So even if he had freaking 800 yards last year, they weren't picking that up because they're already.
I'd like that 3rd rounder to go get a tight end maybe then.
I'm with you that I wouldn't have made the trade, but I don't think that was news that he was not, that they weren't picking up his option. They were never picking up his option.
What would you grade that trade?
C.
A C. For what they want. Well, the reason why it's probably right.
If the Super Bowl didn't exist,
they don't expect much out of that position.
But if the Super Bowl didn't exist, it'd be a D. But because you make a big catch in the Super Bowl, that's enough for me to give you a C. No?
That catch in the Super Bowl covers the 3rd round pick you saw.
Yes, that motherfucking catch covers everything he did all year long where we were like, God damn it. I mean, that was the only catch I needed from the guy all year.
Wait a minute. What was the score of that game? I forget.
I don't know, 40-0.
I'm sure that touchdown catch had an impact in the game.
Well,
Hey,
it was one of the first plays in the
yeah,
game.
I'm sure that would have stopped the Eagles from blowing them out. Hey,
That defense that
hey,
defense wasn't letting anything
last
on
one
them.
here for you here, brother. Let me go here with this, then we'll get to the supers here. Goddard, Huff. You think they're second and third day trades?
Goddard, no, because the financials of it just simply don't make sense yet. I mean, you're going to probably move him. I wouldn't be surprised if Howie went stubborn on it either. So don't rule that out completely. But if you cut him or trade him now, you're losing $9 million. If you wait till June 1st, you're picking up $4 million. It's a $13 million swing. I don't think they're in that pressing of a mode to get rid of Goddard just to eat $13 million. I mean, they're not going to do that. So I don't think Goddard's going anywhere. Who's the other guy you said, Dotson?
No, Huff.
Huff, probably not there either, just because you very little you get back. And the other thing is, with that room being so weak, you might want the body.
I said this: if I got
$18 million camp body, have you ever heard of that, Sills?
let me just say this to you, Xander.
18
If I got
million
5 sacks, if I got 5 sacks out of that guy this year, I would be thrilled.
All right, give me over under 3.5. What do you got?
I think he's going to get you over that.
I do too. I think he's going to be a little better than that.
I do, because I think the teams are going to try to throw the ball more on the Eagles' defense this year, especially they're going to try to test the right side of that defensive secondary because of the corners and the safety being gone. Okay, they're going to Xander, they're going to test. What side do you want to test, the Reed Blankenship side or the Q side?
Yeah,
or do you want to go the Sidney Brown and Keely Ringo corners? I mean, where do you think you're going? Okay, right?
Well, you're gonna pick on Sidney Brown and Keely Ringo for the next 4 months until this season freaking starts. I don't know. Did you see the rumor now that they made a call about Jalen Ramsey? Now I don't know if I'm buying it. All right, I really don't. I mean, this guy was mad at Vic Fangio last year for the way he coached him in Miami. The Eagles play a zone-based.
You sure that wasn't Xavier Howard that was talking more shit?
It was Xavier Howard who's talking more shit, but
I thought it was Xavier Howard. I heard Ramsey say some things.
No, here's the interesting part about the Ramsey conversation. So Darius Slay started his career in Detroit, obviously, as we all know, and he played a ton of man corner. He was a man corner when he came to Philly.
Yeah.
He switched out of that in recent years because of the change to the Eagles defense, right? That, I think, hear me out.
Ramsey.
Hear me out.
Oh, wow.
Hear me out. How many years did Slay add to his career by going to a zone-based system versus getting burnt in man at 32, 33 years old?
He was terrible.
So if you're Ramsey and you're 30, you might look and say, hey, man, I know I love the zone, but I'd rather make 12, 15, 14 million for the next 5 years than make 20 million for the next 2.
It's easier to play.
Easier to play, better system. I'm not as relied upon. I can plug and play. I can be the veteran leader. I got good young players around me. And what makes sense from that perspective?
And what else? Ramsey may have thought some different things when he was in Miami. Vic proved him wrong this past season. Hey, dude, you want a fucking ring to go along with your legacy?
Yeah.
I told you I was right.
He is a buttercup, though. He's a buttercup.
But remember something. Remember, what's his name? He wasn't all thrilled with playing that type of defense right away, Slay. Because Slay believed he was a man guy, and he wasn't. He was getting dude, they were calling him Toe Slay in Detroit because he was getting killed. Let's get to these Zoopers before we get to our friend.
That mother effer ain't no leaders in it. I just meant the communication on the defense, bro. He's seen a lot of football, Ryan, whether you like the guy or not. Yeah, he's played a lot of football at a high level.
Jalen Ramsey is a great football player.
Yeah, he can teach our young boys some things, no doubt.
Yeah.
Brandon Snyder. What's up, Brandon Snyder? How you doing, brother? Is this going to be similar to the year Eagles traded a late first-round pick to the Ravens for them to get Lamar to get an extra year on the contract if Shedeur drops? Maybe. I don't know if people are that high on Shedeur, though, man. I really don't. Seems like it's all going the other way for Shedeur.
Isn't it funny how everybody's rolling towards my way of thinking on him now than they are rolling? And by the way, I don't care about any of the things about his dad. I think that's a positive. I don't think it's a negative. I just don't like some of the mannerisms he has. He never plays on time, and I happen to agree with that. And I just think, again, When I watch him, do I see special? I don't. I mean, dude, who had a harder season a year ago? Jackson Dart? And by the way, I'm not even.
Can I take
played in the Southeastern
my
Conference.
I want to take my cake on one thing. A couple of months ago on this show, when we were talking about the NFL draft, I said, keep an eye on Jackson Dart. I'm not saying he's this great prospect, but he's a guy I could see doing some things at the next level with the right coaching. Now the draft is here, and all of a sudden Jackson Dart's going freaking 9 overall.
Can I tell you why? Because what they started doing is they started watching Shador's tape, and they put on Dart's tape, and they go, what's the difference? One guy's playing against tougher competition week in and week out.
Yeah, right.
One guy had a better offensive coordinator with him. I know he had Shermer, but down there you had Lane Kiffin. And the numbers were compatible. If everything is equal, wouldn't you take the kid that played against tougher competition versus the other guy?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's why Dart's gone up the board. You know, that's why he's gone up.
Yeah. Yep. You like Dart?
No.
I model my game after Jalen Hurts.
That's probably why.
I model my game after Jalen Hurts.
That's probably why. Actually, he throws for more yards, but it's okay. Don't go right.
He did. He threw for 4K last year in college. Pretty good stuff by Dart.
Yeah,
Brian Pope. What up,
Jalen's more the guy from Army. Go ahead. Let's see here.
Oh, God. Super Bowl MVP. You got to be kidding me.
Hey,
Brian Pope says, there are some rumblings that the Ravens are in love with Mason Taylor, how he might need to move up. He'll definitely have to move up to get Taylor. You talking first round, though, Brian?
Nah. Hey, Brian, are you sure it's not Joy Taylor or Mason Taylor that they're in love with? Because I'm telling you, I think they want Malachi Starks to play next to Kyle Hamilton. That's who I think they want. I think they want to put that safety kid back there with him.
I want to take one more chance to shred the chat because we did a mock draft after Birds 365 today, and these dudes in the chat gave me some of the worst picks you'll ever see, and we ended up with the worst haul of players the Eagles could imagine getting in this draft. So Pumper, Abe, Flexen, Sig Lord, Cody K, all the guys who were in there this morning, tragic performance. He said, that's my fault. Abe, I'm blaming you and you only, brother. Come on, man.
Funny. That's funny, man.
Kyle says Mason Taylor reminds me of Zach Ertz. I could see that. I think Taylor.
He's a late bloomer too.
Yeah, but I think Mason Taylor's got a little better athleticism. He moves, man. He's pretty quick. He's pretty quick.
Yeah, I like the kid too. I'm biased though. I like the kid.
All right, here we go. Pumper Project 89. This guy loves Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson couldn't catch a flick pass in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, that's right. The big hands guy, the tight end FSU kid. All right, yeah.
Brian says, Jordan Davis had plenty of holes in his game coming out of Georgia. He just plugged them with donuts and sugar.
Hey.
Rashid checks in. Rashid says, Sills, what grade would you give if Eagles somehow got Nolan, Scourton, cornerback Porter, trade a fifth and a future late pick for Mike Mayer, and sign Simmons after the draft? That sounds like a pretty good haul right there to me.
Rashid, remember something, and I'll say it one more time.
Pie in the sky, but.
Okay, but here. These guys tonight, when you pick them, will not have a helmet. They'll not have shoulder pads. They'll not have stepped on an NFL field yet.
Yeah.
To sit here and for me to say, tonight, what a shitty pick at 32. Can't do it, dude. They don't even own a helmet yet.
I know.
It takes
You're right.
3 years of evaluation for anybody to take a look on whether the kid's going to be a good player or not. So, again, I mean, now you can talk about dressing needs and all that other stuff. Finances and got it. I got all that, but I mean, come on, man. This draft has so many ranges. Like you saw Walter Nolan from 8 to 44.
I think that's the most interesting part of the draft. There's
drama.
15, 20 kids that have ranges like that, including the quarterbacks. So, the main thing I'm watching on quarterbacks front is, are the New York Giants going to take Jackson Dart? So we'll see what happens with Dart, the late hype on Jackson.
Oh, God forbid if you start saying that you want it because, hey, listen, I know we're getting a Stanford guy on, but God forbid you say this shit. I like Jackson Dart over Shador. Racist! And you're like, I like the guy better. I mean, holy cow.
All right, Sills, I got to run, brother. I appreciate you.
Got you, man. All right. So we're going to try to elevate the conversation because of my education and not this next guy's education, even though he went to Stanford. And, he seems that he uses bigger words. So let me get my thesaurus out. Is that how you say it? So let me get this. Here it is right here. This guy, Jason Cole, our dear friend for over 30 years. 30. Wow. Almost 40 years. Is going to give us his opinion tonight on the NFL draft. Let's bring in our Hall of Fame voter, Jason Cole. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. I'm good. It's I think it's always thesaurus or
You always use bigger words than me, and
it's thesaurus. I'm just being an idiot.
And you tried to always throw me off on this thing here. I think it's pretty cool though, Jace, tonight that it's at Lambeau. I mean, I know the NFL is a king of making money and all this, and now they're pimping this thing out to cities like Detroit, DC, Buffalo, maybe in the next coming years. But it's a pretty cool setting tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, anytime you're at a place that's as romanticized as Lambeau Field, like that is a very, very cool thing, and you give a chance to fans who probably can't afford to get to New York and watch this thing and see it once in a while. And I'm sure the NFL is making money on this thing. There's no question about that. Are they making a ton of money on it? Probably enough, that it's worthy. But I think the most important thing that they've done is it's a way to get away from New York and to engage fans across the country when this is Christmas, and we know this is Christmas for football fans.
I want to point something out to you, and you tell me if you think this is just coincidence. So if you look at tonight's draft in the draft order, so at the bottom of the draft, you've got 32. You've got Howie Roseman and Jalen Hurts. 31, you've got Mahomes and Brett Veach. At 30, you've got Brandon Beane and Josh Allen. At 29, you've got Adam Peters, and now you've got Jaden Daniels. At 28, you've got Brad Holmes and Jared Goff. At 27, you've got Eric DeCosta, and you've got Lamar Jackson. At 26, you've got Matthew Stafford and Les Snead. At 25, you have Nick Caserio, 6 rings, and you've got C.J. Stroud. And then when you go to the top, Tennessee, no quarterback. Cleveland, no quarterback. New York, no quarterback. GM.
So passing the first round, trade up into the.
No, but what I'm saying is, Jason, it's the same cast of characters at the bottom, and it just shows you that the best GMs are always picking at the bottom and yet still continuing to win.
You mean the best quarterbacks? The best quarterbacks are picking at the end of the first round.
And the quarterback doesn't necessarily win your championship solely. That's Lamar Jackson.
But he makes you competitive. He makes you competitive.
Okay, but those guys are building rosters too on defensive side of the ball, and they're signing good coordinators. You tell me, why is it so that every year it's the same cast of characters at the bottom? And at the top, it's the same cast of characters when it comes to failure. The Jets are there. The Giants are there still again. I mean, you couldn't have 2 worse GMs in the NFL than Joe Schoen right now into what Joe Douglas and the owner, probably more so than anything with Woody Johnson. I mean, it's just the same guys every year, just a different year.
Well, I can't figure out you can't figure out the quarterback situation. And the Giants haven't always been there, but
that's right.
When they had Eli Manning, they were solved for
Jerry Reese.
Yeah, I mean, it was first it was Ernie Accorsi who picked Eli, and then it was Jerry Reese. So your quarterback covers a lot of ills, right? Like you're going to be toward the bottom of the your worst seasons are going to be somewhere around used to be 8-8, 8-9, 9-8, 10-7, something like that. And so you're going to always be picking. Somewhere after pick 15, usually after pick 20, you're going to be in the playoffs. That's just the advantage of having a great quarterback and, building around those guys, and then you don't have to put a priority on it. I think the interesting thing that always happens when you have those teams that are drafting at the end of the first round, especially in this draft, which is so deep for starters, is if you're a team that passes on a quarterback pie here. Like you're the Giants, and let's just say you don't pick Shador, you don't pick Jackson Dart, and you say, let's see what happens with one of those two guys. So as soon as one of them goes, do you say they go in the 18 to 20 range, are you now calling those teams that you just talked about that are drafting at 25, 26, 27, 28 and saying, okay, I'll jump back in the first round, and that's where I'm going to grab whoever's left out of those three quarterbacks? Because Ward's going to go number one, which is a bad overdraft, but that's okay. Quarterbacks are quarterbacks. And then one of the either Dart or Shador is probably going to go somewhere.
No, but to your point, Jace, if Cleveland takes Travis Hunter at 2, the first pick in the second round at 33 is Cleveland. Do they call the Eagles and go like this if one of those QBs is sitting down there like Jalen Milroe or a Jackson Dart? Or
that's the advantage of being one of those teams that's at the end of the first round that has a quarterback, is now you can sit there and say, okay, I'm going to flip this first rounder for an early third in this draft and maybe pick up a fourth, pick up another third. In other words, I can grab an extra player because the strength of this draft is pretty much the second half of the first round all the way into the third round.
That's right.
Yeah, the difference.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, the difference between picking at 12 or 15 or 16 or 17 is not a whole lot different than picking at, say, 50, 65. And you would say that's a huge difference. But the players are roughly the same kind of player. And so if you're doing that, okay, give me an extra one of those. Give me pick 35, or in this case, 33 or 34, and then throw me pick, if you have pick 60 or pick 58, whatever you have, I'll take that other guy, and now I've got two players. That's the interesting part as a team builder that I think about. Like if you're in a GM's position, that's what you're thinking about. And those aren't really sexy moves. Like everybody gets caught up in which quarterback people are going to take at the end of the first round. But the truth is the real value is the two guys that you got when you're the team trading down as you're trying to build your roster out.
Jason, all seriousness here. One of the reasons I love you so much is because you don't really, you don't look at people for, they may have a different political view on something. They may look at something different. You take people for the context of their character. Yeah. And that's how I try to look at people. But, and help me here, because this might be an Italian guy or a white guy talking here, and tell me if I'm not seeing this clear, because for me, the conversation on Shador Sanders, it's never anything to do about anything else other than I think he doesn't throw on time. I think he holds the ball too much. I think he's had his entire life carved out, and anytime it's not been perfect, it's other folks' fault. I don't see a lot of leadership out of him. Deion would have won in Colorado, whether his kid's there or not. The guy is Hunter. I'm not suggesting, and I'm not throwing shade. Why is it so difficult for people to do this when you look at Shador? Shit, I could say this about Cam. And I would say this, somebody just asked me about Jackson Dart. I think these guys are second-round quarterbacks, second and third-round quarterbacks. But
I think let's just start with this. All of these quarterbacks, none of them, if you talk to really qualified scouts who've been around a long time,
they're not special.
Yeah, even the Ward kid.
Yeah, even the
Ward kid. Like Tennessee tried so hard to trade that pick. All right, it really did.
The Browns have been fielding calls.
Right, like they really didn't want to take Cam Ward, but they're left with no choice but to take Cam Ward. And it's not because they love Cam Ward. It's because they have to get a quarterback. They got to fix the problem, and they got to take the best guy who's available at this moment in time, and hope that it works. Again, I talked to one scout who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, who's done a good job picking quarterbacks over the year, and he's like, "Look, Cam Ward's a third-round pick in my view," and he goes, "Shador's a second-round pick," but they're both going to go in the first round because that's the nature of the game. That's what everybody needs, a quarterback. So I expect that there's going to be 3 or 4 quarterbacks that go in the first round. I mean, when people talk about Jalen Milroe, and, you know, I hear Orlovsky talk about, oh, you know, he's got less things wrong with him. Yeah, he has less things wrong with him overall, but the things that he has wrong are really wrong. Like, they're really bad. Like, when you say that one of your biggest problems is accuracy, like, that's a problem. That's a big freaking problem.
But the same, if you read the Bledsoe report on Jalen Milroe, you can almost line it up, take his name out, and put Jalen Hurts' name out when he came out of college. They said that Jalen went in the second round, but he evolved and developed, became a better player. There's nothing wrong with saying all those things. Joe Montana went in the 3rd round. I mean, Brady went in the 6th round. I mean,
Johnny Unitas went in the 12th. I mean, it was a much smaller draft. But yeah. And look, the discussion about Shedeur Sanders has everything to do with 2 things. It's Deion's kid. Well, it's 3 things. It's Deion's kid. It's one of the better quarterbacks in the draft, right?
Yes.
The Deion's kid part, you know, has part, you know, like all the personality stuff that goes with him. And the 3rd thing, and this is the one that everybody's avoiding, this is a boring ass draft.
Yeah.
This is a boring, super boring draft. Okay, there's like Cam Ward doesn't even generate much hype. Like, nobody's like, oh God, can't wait for to take Cam Ward. Like, he's going to change the NFL. It's like, yeah, he's the best player. And then Abdul Carter, kind of a boring guy. Travis Hunter, you know, great player, interesting 2-way guy, kind of a boring personality. And then you're talking about offensive tackles, and, you know, I mean, it's just the only drama in this draft. The only drama
It's Sanders.
Is Shedeur. And so it's a manufactured story that is hyped up by the fact that it's Deion's kid.
It's a great take.
And yeah, the kid's a bit of a prick. Let me tell you this. Dan Marino's a prick too.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. And they, you know, the great quarterbacks are pricks. Okay.
Hey.
The question with Shedeur Sanders, and this is the thing, I don't care about the interviews at all. I don't care about if they, you know, he told those guys to go F themselves. I don't care. I care, if I'm a scout, I care that the guys who are around him play hard for him and with him. And that's the question you have to answer with Shedeur Sanders. And I don't know the answer because I haven't studied it and I haven't talked to anybody. But Shedeur Sanders does say a lot of things that annoy me as a fan. But I don't know if they annoy the guys that he plays with. And that's what matters.
I'm going to deviate and tell you a unheard Dan Marino story, which you're going to love. So one of my best friends is Bill Moss, played for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. I think I know this story. But go ahead.
All this and this. So he married
played a bit. He married Marino's sister.
He married Marino's sister, right? And so they got divorced. He lines up over Dwight Stevenson. Marino gets to the line of scrimmage that season that divorce came. He goes away from Dwight, and he goes, everyone on the Miami Dolphin O-line, I want you to blow that guy's knee out. Blow his knee out. Right? We were teammates at Pitt together with my cousin. Blow that guy's knee out. He said that for one full quarter. Dwight Stevens looking back at him going, please stop this. And everybody was going, oh my God. Everyone was laughing because Marino was such an asshole.
Of course, look, that's just like, people don't understand how this game is played and what happens in a huddle and on the field, and whether, are you gonna bust your ass for the guy that you got to block for, or the guy that's throwing you the ball, and how do you like that guy or not? And when I say like, I don't mean that you got to be buddy, but are you inspired to play hard for that guy and do what you need to do to win ball games, right? That's what matters. And when you talk about a guy like Marino, guys are like, hey, whatever he says, I'm doing it.
Wait, Jace. Okay, incentive is I get an extra 600 grand if we're number one in passing. I get another 700 grand if we're first in scoring here. You want me to play hard for him? Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I got incentives lined up here. So, hey,
I mean, there's always.
I don't love you, I'm still going to play hard.
Generally that should happen, but you know what I'm saying. You've been
I
on
do,
the field.
of course.
You've been on a field when you're lining up next to a guy and you know, like, he's just a jackwagon. Like, you're just like, I'm not going to war with you, dude. I'm just not. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel I can't, and it doesn't happen a lot, but when it happens, it's bad. And when it's a quarterback, it's super bad.
Worse. It absolutely.
Yeah, it's awful when it's a quarterback.
You brought something up. I wonder if you think that this maybe leads to this. Do you know that 95% of the players that are in this draft tonight have transferred? Do you think that has anything to do with it being kind of like a boring draft, and that all these guys have been at different places? They really haven't. And all of a sudden, you didn't really back in the day. You watched a kid at Nebraska for 3 years, and you saw that guy when he came out of Oklahoma, or he came out of Miami, or he came out of Michigan. You knew SC, and you had you built up kind of like the old the NBA draft when you saw Jordan and Olajuwon. Those guys were all competing. You think that's been an impact at all in any way?
I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth talking about. I don't know how you measure it.
Yeah, I don't either.
But there's some of that. Like, look, college sports has become a mercenary game, and part of me, we can get into a long discussion about college sports and where it's going. I love the chaos. I have a good discussion with one of my Stanford buddies all the time, because we're like trying to figure out how does Stanford win in this atmosphere and how do they survive and all that kind of stuff. But he's really upset because it's like, this is not college athletics. This is not what I stand. And I go, yeah, you're right. It's not. It's hard to be loyal to these guys. It's hard to cheer for these guys when they come and go. And I said, but I love it because it's exactly what the coaches and the colleges deserve after decade upon decade upon decade of taking advantage of guys. They get to be uncomfortable for a few years and deal with the chaos because this is what they
I agree.
wrote. So yeah, it'll get solved someday. And yes, it is in the best interests of athletes to stay at an institution longer, even if it's a little harder to get on the field. It's better for your long-term education. It's better for your values, all those kinds of things. But I don't blame a single kid in the world for saying, hey, I need playing time, man. I need PT. And I need a little bit more money.
That's right.
So where am I going to get PT and where am I going to get money? I don't blame a guy for that at all. But I do think that it's not necessary. I think guys are going to find out it's not necessarily the healthiest way for your own personal development. And it's going to take time for that to sort itself out.
A couple last ones here for you, Jason. I got another kind of topic here that I'd be interested to hear how you look at this here. So let me bring up Mike Green to you. There's been no arrest with the guy. There's been no accusations really of anything, but there's a conversation. Well, I shouldn't say accusations because there is somebody brought something up when he transferred from Virginia to Marshall. They had suspended him, but he had already been out of the building. He was already at Marshall. So I think kind of that Virginia was a little bit butthurt here. And as you know, every NFL team has a big dom. They have FBI on Park Avenue. That is NFL legal. They go around and they let you know if there's any kind of craziness here. But for you, when you hear somebody like that and you hear issues like that, I say this to you and you tell me if I'm wrong. Remember Randy Gregory was a kid at Nebraska, and his agent told him that, hey, don't smoke pot going into the combines. And I said this, I don't really care if a kid smokes weed. I don't care. I just don't care. However, if I know I'm going to be drug tested and I'm going to show up in Indianapolis, I'm going to know that I'm not going to smoke weed that 3 days while I'm there. To me, isn't it more about decision-making for you and accountability? If a guy is accountable for something and a guy doesn't make poor decisions, I want guys who are not going to make bad decisions and be accountable. Say, I'll give a guy a second chance like Andy Reid gave Matt Araiza a second shot. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you look at guys like Mike Green?
Does it get in the way of you playing football? Like, it's a simple thing. Do your decisions get in the way of you playing football? Like, I think there was a linebacker out of Alabama, I think, Ahmad Brooks or something. I can't remember what his name was. Who went in the third round, and he was in trouble all the time at Alabama. I remember, and maybe I got the wrong guy, but he was in trouble all the time. It was one thing after another, right? And he got to the pros, and he had a gobs of talent. Should have been a first-round pick. I ended up going, I think, in the third round. He just had a mediocre career, right?
Reuben Foster?
No, it was a different guy. He didn't go in the first round. Reuben Foster was relatively clean coming out of college. He had his problems once he got to the NFL. I just can't remember the kid's name, but I just remember talking to Saban at one point in time, and he said, "How important is football to you?"
Yeah.
Does football? Do your decisions get in the way of playing? Because then, if that's the case, then you got a higher priority on those things than you do on football. Now, there's always a check and balance to this because you got LT and you got stories of plenty of guys who got in trouble, but they were so gifted, and they show up on Sunday and they would just ball out, right, and they dominate. But it's a rough one, and I would say unless you're just an off the charts talent like Randy Moss, somebody who's just loaded with gobs of talent that I have no choice but to take you. I'd rather pick the other guy. Like I'd rather pick the other guy who, I'm not saying he's going to be a choir boy or anything. I'm not looking for choir boys necessarily.
Absolutely.
But I want guys who like football is important.
Yeah.
Your profession is important.
Right.
Showing up and being accountable is important to you. I'd rather take my chance with that guy than a guy who's got a bunch of allegations and doing stupid things and making bad choices. And frankly, if some of the stuff about Green is true, like might have a real problem that is not going to go away, right? And so you got to weigh that really hard. And yeah, I just remember the story. Talking about stories like Lamar Thomas, guy, right? He was playing for the Bucks one year.
One of my boys.
He's a good dude. I love Lamar, and we've talked about this many times, but he got in trouble because he had a girlfriend at the time. I think she became his wife. I don't know where they are at this point in time, but she got under his skin in a way that he couldn't control, right? And so they would have confrontations, and after one of those confrontations, he got arrested. He was in Tampa. Gets out of jail, goes to Tony Dungy's office, and Tony has a meeting with him and says, "Hey, look, my wife and I prayed on this." And Lamar's like, "Oh, he prayed on it. I'm good, man. He talked to God. He's going to give me another chance." Tony Dungy goes, "Yeah, we really prayed on this. We thought about it. We talked about it, and we're going to have to let you go." It's like, well, I can't argue with the man. He talked to God, right?
Hey, it ended him.
Right. And he ended up going down to Miami and played for the Dolphins for a while and, got it together. But that was a moment in which Tony Dungy is like essentially saying your priorities in life are not in order. Your priorities about what you're doing, and I can't abide that. Okay. And you can dress it up under religion. You can dress it up under pure logic. You can do it look any way you want, but Tony Dungy's decision was, you're not putting football on a high enough priority to stay out of trouble, to do the things I need you to do. I'm picking the next guy. And that's how I kind of look at them, like a situation with a guy like Mike Green, barring, my thinking he's going to be the next Randy Moss, which I don't think he's going to be. But unless I think that, I'm probably sitting here going, yeah, I'll go with a different guy.
I think it is Rolando McClain. I think you're talking about Rolando McClain.
I don't think it's Rolando because Rolando went in the first round.
Oh, okay. You're talking about a kid who went in the third round.
I'm talking about a guy.
Oh, he dropped.
I really believe it was maybe Ahmad Brooks, who ended up having a pretty decent career. Yeah, he was pretty solid. But it was a guy who was, like I think he was at Alabama or one of the SEC schools, and he was in the supplemental draft one year.
Oh, was it? I thought maybe he went to Virginia. Is that the kid that went to Virginia?
I just can't remember. I'd have to look this one up. But I just remember having the conversation. It was very simple. It wasn't like stop worrying about all the nuances of did he do it, did he not do it, should I give him a chance? You'll figure that out. But the basic question is, does he care about football enough that he's going to come to work? And that's the question you have to answer for yourself. And it's a simple one. If the answer is, I don't know, then take the other guy.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. I got one last one here for you. In honor of the draft tonight, in your opinion, who was a better first overall pick, Elway or Peyton Manning?
Well, I'm going to say Elway because he's my favorite player.
You're adding that in because he's your boy.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm being honest about. All
right.
Okay, I mean, like, you're talking about a guy who's probably the most talented guy to ever throw.
You're never going to get me to go off Elway either.
And look, I will always say this: Peyton milked every drop of talent out of his body. Okay, and I have no argument. Like, I have no good cogent argument.
Look at how I'm getting him to talk shit on Peyton Manning.
No, I'm saying no. I'm saying a guy who worked tirelessly to get everything out of his career. And I salute that. Like, I have incredible respect for that. And I know John didn't quite do that, right? But I'm going to go with the guy who had better pure talent. Okay.
The only negative on John Elway was he had to develop touch. That was the only thing, because I forget the receiver that said every time he threw a football, he had black and blue marks on his chest because Elway was these little like seam passes. Elway was throwing the ball. He goes, when Elway threw the ball, he was trying to throw it through you, not to you. So, I mean, he goes, passes.
No, you remember Darren Nelson, right? Who played at Stanford and was with Minnesota for a while, right? Good career, first round pick, quick, scat back type of guy. So Elway shows up his freshman year. Darren Nelson's out with a knee injury, so they never practiced together. Darren Nelson comes back second year. Elway's now the starting quarterback, and they're throwing swing passes. And Elway throws a swing pass at like 1,000 miles an hour, right? It's a swing pass, right? He just like, a shoulder comes back, like fire it. And he wings one, and Nelson's running, like a little screen route out of the backfield. And he throws it, and Darren Nelson like just lets it whiz by. He doesn't even stick his hands out. And he looks at Elway. He goes, "You don't expect me to catch that, do you?"
Hey, I know Darren Nelson, man.
One more. James Lofton.
Love him. Great guy.
James Lofton is like third or fourth year out of Stanford, playing for the Packers, right?
Yep. I played against him when he was in Green Bay.
Yeah, he's playing with Lynn Dickey up in Green Bay.
Yep.
He comes back to Palo Alto because he's hanging out in his college town. He's got a house in Palo Alto. And he goes to work out. And he's like, shows up and he works out with Elway one day. And Lofton tells me this story because I asked him, he goes, I showed up for one day. And he goes, Like, man, he's going to break my fingers. And I looked at him and I said, I'm never coming back to work with you, dude. It's not happening. So, like, that's 2 first-round picks. I looked at him in college and said, no, we ain't doing that. You got to stop it. And I just, look, Elway is the kind of guy who, for me, and this is just a personal thing, like, you saw like genius, you just saw stuff that you were never ever going to see from another human being. And Peyton was not that, but Peyton was the guy who you went every single play,
relentless worker,
and amazing talent, but he's going to get everything that he possibly can out of every play, and he's a genius. So it was a pleasure to watch him play. I mean, I had the great pleasure of watching his first game as a rookie and his last game in the Super Bowl. And I got a really good glimpse of his career. It was really fun. But I mean, you're talking childhood stuff with Elway. You're talking about, growing up, watching football, falling in love with it kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Real quick, did you work with Christine Brennan down at the Herald?
No, I did not. She was before my time.
She was okay, yeah, because Christine and I are dear friends, and I love her very much. I mean, she does a great job in working for USA Today, and I mean, yeah, she was down there at the Herald my sophomore year, actually, when I was down there, and she worked with Edwin Pope, and Edwin Pope introduced me. Edwin, it's funny, Edwin Pope and Tom McEwen were 2 of my dearest friends because they knew that I was a knucklehead, and they always, I don't know, they
knew that they could get some.
It's like you, they have a fondness for me for some reason. I don't know. Those guys were great.
You can tell a story. You can tell a story, and you're a loose lips guy. Okay, that's what we like about you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hey, it's what the best sources are? The guys who don't even know their sources.
I know. You know what's crazy? Somebody goes like this. So I did this yesterday. They go, get this. This is what I did. So somebody goes, well, the Eagles haven't brought in a tight end on their 30 visits. And I went like this. Well, let me ask Mario if they talked to Arroyo. So I text Mario on the air. Hey, Mario, on Pro Day, did the Eagles bring down the area scout, that guy, Neil? He goes, yeah, he sat down with Arroyo for 3 hours. So I text Joy Taylor. Hey, Joy, Mason Taylor, the kid from LSU. Hey, did the Eagles, he goes, oh, he wants to be an Eagle. He met the guys down there in Baton Rouge. And I'm going like, oh, and somebody goes, so, okay, so you just called these? And I go, yeah, I don't know if that's a source, or I'll do this. I'll call Drew Rosenhaus and go, hey, Drew, are you working on a contract extension with Darius Slay and the Eagles? Yeah, who told you that? I go, no, I heard it. And so I guess that's what you're talking about. I just talked to these people. I don't know.
Right. I mean, that's part of it. But no, you're the kind of guy who, when you played on the team, you walk up and you go, hey, what's going on? And you tell you 5 things that the coach is like, don't tell them that. And you're like, that shit didn't happen in practice.
Yeah.
What do you want? We had a big fight between those 2 guys. You should have seen that thing. We had to pull them apart. And you're like, I love that kind of stuff. Like, my favorite one. Speaking of Mason Taylor, right? So Zach Thomas, his uncle, right?
Yeah.
1 year.
Who Jimmy drafted, by the way.
Yeah, Jimmy in the 5th round. Great pick. Amazing instincts, the whole thing. But anyways, so Zach tells me 1 week he's fighting a high ankle sprain, right? And he's been out for 2 or 3 weeks, and he's trying to decide whether to play. And he's pushing it too hard to try and get out there and all that stuff, right? And he tells me, he goes, what did he say? He goes, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how I'm going to look out there, and he's telling me, he goes, that's how I'm just worried about this. Hey, he goes, like, I don't really need you to don't put that out, me saying that or anything like that. And I said. And so I write, the source is concerned about how Zach Thomas is going to look in practice the next day as he prepares to whether he's going to play this week, right? I write it the next day. Zach comes up, he goes, Who told you that? Like, you did. You did. You were the source. He goes, oh, yeah, I did. Because he wasn't coach who was bad mouthing him. He was talking about himself.
Hey, Jason. So I was talking to Jason Taylor because we were talking about the D line at Miami, and I go, how did Jimmy find you? Another Hall of Fame guy in the third round.
Yeah.
How did he find you? He goes, he looked at me in the same light as Michael Strahan, who went in the second round. Jimmy was going to take him in the second round, but the Giants jumped up and got him. He was going to take him. And so he looked at Jason and he goes like this, and he goes, I made a mistake because I guess it was Southern that Michael Strahan went to. And I think he went to Toledo. And so
Akron. He went to Jason.
Akron,
went to
that's
Akron.
right. He was an Akron guy.
Spray went to Texas Southern. Yeah.
He goes like this. He goes to Jason. He goes, if you put on 45 pounds, you're going to Canton. And Jason goes, I got 2 scholarship offers. I go, Russell Maryland had 1, and he was the first pick in the draft. Just listen to me here. Sure enough, I mean, there's certain guys that have a knack.
Yeah, but here's the one funny thing.
There's certain guys that have a knack to find him, and there's certain guys who will never find him.
I will say this about Jason Taylor. He never put the 45 pounds.
No, he never did. I never thought that guy. I mean, what did he play at most? 6'5", 245? I mean, 250.
He struggled to stay at 245. He'll tell you. I think he got into the 250s on occasion, but he's just he's a narrow waist, narrow torso guy. Like there's just no place for him to put the weight on. It just wasn't going to happen for him.
I think he was defensive player of the year one year. I mean,
he was the first year that Saban was there because Saban used him as basically an outside linebacker in a 3-4. They would drop him on occasion, and turned him into I mean, he was always a terrific player. He turned him into a dynamic player.
Yeah, I mean, that was just 2 great picks. I mean, of course, Coach Johnson finding Larry Allen in the 12th round, and these other guys. I mean, it's.
Well, Pat Surtain and Sam Madison, and he picked
Tony Tolbert in the 3rd. I mean, he found all these guys.
Tony Tolbert was out of UTEP, right?
Yep.
I mean, have you ever heard stories about the UTEP program?
All I know is that they play in a somewhat pretty decent, but the only thing I know about UTEP, it used to be called Texas Southern. And I know they won a Texas Western, and I know they won a national title against Kentucky in '67. And that's all I know. John Haskins was the coach of that team.
I got to leave you on this one story because I got to go. But there's one story about UTEP. UTEP was such an outcast place and such a crazy place to recruit. It's the kind of place you would.
Pointer played there.
Yeah, but it was just so out there, okay, and so different that they would never fly recruits in during the daytime.
It looked like you were on Mars. That's why.
Because you would land. No, it was worse. Because you would land and you would drive and you would see the Mexican border at daytime, and you could see all the huts and the lean-tos and everything on the other side. And you thought, where the hell am I? So if you talk to UTEP guys, and the coaches will agree, because Andy Reid coached there for a little while, they brought guys in only at night. They would land at night, and they would bring them across because they didn't want them to see the border as they were driving up. It's classic stuff. It's so far off the map.
Absolutely. Jace, have a great night tonight, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Enjoy. I'll talk to you.
You got it. That is our good friend, Jason Taylor. We'll talk more about the NFL drama tonight. I have some dark horse picks for the Eagles in later rounds, and we're going to look through the Bledsoe report at them as well. Okay? Okay? That's Jason Colsills, not Jason Taylor. Yeah. Hey, okay, we're going to do that. we're going to take a look at their projection on where they're going to go in this draft. I do think it's got a lot to do with tonight's board. We will do that as well. Please hit the like button. Our good friends at Morgan & Morgan, John Morgan. I tell you this all the time. The number one injury law firm in America, with nearly $30 billion in recovery for families across this great country. This is what they do. It's a family-run operation for over 30 years. Ultima and John built this company up, and it's run by a family, protecting families in America. That is their mantra. That's how they have become number one. You see all these people with all these commercials. Well, I'll tell you what. Who has a better record than Morgan & Morgan? And by the way, do you know why they're the number one injury law firm in America? It's because they win. Remember this. Ask yourself with Jalen Hurts or the Eagles. You don't become number one if you don't win. What are you, the Cowboys? You win. Like a family in Pennsylvania won $26 million because an initial offering from an insurance company came in at $650K. No way. Attorneys went in there and they awarded that family nearly $30 million. That's what they did. Also, the family down in Florida, who was awarded $350K initially, no way. They got $12 million for that respected family. If you want to win, you call Morgan & Morgan. forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills, hit the like button. By the way, tomorrow Michael Irvin will join us. He will be on set tomorrow for Fox. So we got to find some time for him. So he could be anywhere from the beginning of the program. I think he's going to be 2:30 Eastern time. That's my bet. Tomorrow, Michael Irvin. And as I said here, let me see here if I can show this here. He'll be on set. Let me double check here what he said. So here. I'll be on set during that time. Let me see if we can do 12 minutes prior to that. So I'm assuming 2:30 Eastern. I'll hit you back here. And I told him, I said, look, we'll do 2:30 if you have to. So that's my boy right there, Michael Irvin. So we're going to do Michael Irvin tomorrow and get his take of the Eagle draft and also the rest of the teams in the NFC East. That's what we're going to do here in a minute, in the direction that they go. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Shedeur here in a second. So Kirby Joseph, you guys see this? Kirby Joseph just got $86 million guaranteed, or $86 million. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, what's the number in the guarantees? I think it was 21 annually a year. Are you paying Reed Blankenship $20 million a year? Are you guys going to pay Reed Blankenship 20? Kirby Joseph just got $86 million at 21.5 a year. Are you paying Reed Blankenship $21 million at safety? Are you? No. How much you paying him? He's the highest paid safety. $86 million, 4-year deal, 21.5. How much you paying Reed Blankenship? How much you paying him? Let's see here. You guys are picking up the 5th-year option on Jordan Davis. That's going to be $12 million. You're paying Carter 40. You're paying a bus 17, 9,569, and you're paying Bond 17. That's $86 million. 1, 2, 3, 4 players. And remember something. You're paying $228 million and 9 players on offense. How much you paying? I haven't even added yet. You're paying $86 million just to those 1, 2, 3, 4 players. How much you paying Reed? 8 to 10. I think you need to jump that number up. 8 to 10. So you don't think Reed Blankenship is half the player Kirby Joseph is then? He's on the number 1 ranked defense. He just won the Super Bowl. No equity for him? No equity for him. 8 to 10's a little light. How much are you paying Reed Blankenship? Sills, do you think he's better? No. But there has to be an equity, doesn't there? There has to be some type of equity for winning the Super Bowl and being on the number 1 defense, and your coordinator saying he's the guy that keeps everything connected in the secondary. What up, Jim? Appreciate all of you coming aboard. Please hit the like button. Are you going to pay Reed Blankenship $15 million a year? How much you paying him? Let's say 15. That's $100 million. Between Reed Blankenship, Zach Bond, Bryce Huff, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. on your starting 11. Just those 6, that's 15 players of your 22 players. That comes out to 9, 2, 3. That's $329 million. They're going to get a little fun here. Bye-bye, AJ. Bye-bye. AJ, I'll be seeing you. 3 years, $54 million you're going to pay. That ain't working. What's your point? Okay? What do you mean get this. This guy wants to know what the point is. The point is what you've been doing this entire offseason by shedding salaries. Breaking, the Giants are attempting to make a trade up into the 20s for a quarterback per Diana Rossini. This confirms Hunter at 3, perhaps. Maybe. Okay? Hey, Sills is the Grinch that stole draft masks. No, Sills is the guy who has to always remind M. Reyes rent is due. Hey, we're just the Eagles, and we're gonna make it work. You do. At the expense of cutting players. Oh, man, this is too much fun. I didn't realize, I got to tell you one more time, this is the 4th anniversary of me being on JAKIB tonight. I got to tell you, I never in a million years ever thought covering this team with the Psychos in Philly, and I mean that in a loving way, the Psycho sports fans that covered that team, it's freaking great. It was Philly was made for me. You understand that? It was made for me. Well, I'll take that back. Old Philly. Because some of you used to have a set of couillons on you, and you could ask different questions, and were a little bit, I don't know, the media people were better for sure than what you got now. Now, I'm seriously, man, you got an issue, here's a tissue in Philly. Hey, you all right, Nick? Hey, Nick, I can't believe that you take the scrutiny you take. It's mind-numbing. Oh, but on. Yeah. Or the one thing with AJ was the best one. The afternoon guys at WIP going, AJ, are you okay? It's like, what are you, a doctor? Yeah. Well, what are you, a psychiatrist? The guy goes on the show and he's like getting therapy from the afternoon guys because with media today, you're either a COVID-19 or a tariff expert. Now you're a psychiatrist psychoanalyzing AJ Brown. Are you okay? Yeah. 4 years with JAKIB. Elite. How you doing? I love that line. I wish I had a t-shirt with that one. Twizwa. Deep down in your heart, you love us. That's true, I do. You kidding me? You kidding me? Absolutely, I do. If I didn't give you shit, who would? Ain't nobody else give you shit. Xander gives you shit. Blank. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. Do I have to read this? Do I have to read this? This guy's got an O in his last name, too. This guy's disgracing Italians. Papa Barrow. Papa Arrow. Holy shit, you got an O at the end of your name like Big Sills. Good grief. Blankenship is like Andre Waters. Okay. In what way? They play the same position? They didn't get drafted and played big roles on defenses, especially Waters. Okay. All right. Yeah. Oh, I got it. I got where you're going. That's not awful. Did I see Andre Waters play? Let's see if I can do this for you guys. Let's see here. Let's see if my boy Andre signed this thing. Oh, yeah. Andre signed it. Who was there that time at the golf event that we were there for? Andre Waters, Brian Evans, Rick Tootin, Seth Joyner, Clyde Simmons, Keith Jackson. Yep. Not only did I see him play, I knew him. Sills is hate when you get sappy and sentimental. No, I love them guys. And well, if I get a little emotional that Andre Waters committed suicide, forgive me, Lucius. I mean, I apologize. I mean, sorry, dude. I know it's Philly and all, and I got to keep my P's and Q's, but, I got to make sure that, you're right. I mean, Lucius makes sure of that, Hey, Sills, don't get sappy because the guy committed suicide. Oh, okay. I'll make sure I don't. Yeah. Oy, yeah, but on to me. All right. Okay. All right, man. So I've got, hey, real quick here. Let's do the I got you, brother. It's all good, Lucius. I don't mean you think he meant that. No way, because if you did, I'd never speak to you ever again. So I don't believe you meant that. We're good. All right. Yeah, I keep getting questions being asked to me about Shannon Sharpe, so I'm going to say it one more time. Big Sales doesn't go down that route. Yeah, I don't know anything about mask or anything. Okay? I don't really know anything about, like, the mask and all that stuff, so I'm going to leave that shit alone. All right? So here's what I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to need tonight. If there's a football team that has to ace the draft tonight, it's the Dallas Cowboys. They need a running back. Where are they picking? 12? The Cowboys are going to have a player right now making $5 million sitting at 12. My opinion, if I were the Cowboys, and I think Gentry's going to go in the top 5, I would make a move with Jacksonville and trade up to Jacksonville and pray New England, because I think New England's going to take him, and pray New England doesn't take him. And if you move up to 5 and you don't get him, what are you taking at 5? There's nobody on the draft board that makes me. I think you'd have to maybe move with New England just to ensure you get the guy you want. There's nobody. Get this. Now, I get what some of you are going to say. You're going to go, Sills, would you move up from 32 to 27? If I were the Eagles, I wouldn't move up anywhere past the Rams pick for anybody in this draft, including Walter Nolan. Be patient. Let the board come to you. Everyone else is going to panic. Jackson Darts of the world. And get this. Here's the other thing. What's more important to you? Sitting at 32 and say, Xander says this, and he said it this morning, and he said it here. What did he say to you? What if all those guys, there's nobody there? And all the guys that you like are gone. What do you do? What do you mean, what do I do? Here's the value. So you're down at 32. Let's say this here. You're down at 32. And Here, let me go here. Let's see here. God dang it. You're down at 32, okay? Okay. And the board rolls to you this way. And you're at 32. Well, shit, I missed my guys. What's more valuable to you? Well, I'm at 32. Cleveland jumps on Travis Hunter. Sanders falls. Now, the old way of using the Jimmy Johnson value chart, what Les Snead has perfected with the value chart, he puts a value on positions: corner, edge, quarterback, offensive tackle, left. 4 premium positions. Quarterback's a premium position. Cleveland's got the first pick. They need a quarterback. Howie Roseman sits there and says, okay, now again, remember, the draft board will tell you that's a 580 value. And you could get a 6th rounder. It'd be you getting the 33rd pick, you giving them the 32nd pick, and you adding a 6th rounder. Well, wait. Quarterback increases that value. You want to get to that pick to get your boy? I'll take a 2. Can't do it. Well, I'd rather just stay at 32 or trade with someone else. I think the value, if the player's gone, what's more of a value? Getting more picks, where to me, what do you think is more of a value this draft tonight? The first day or second day? Isn't the second day the same as the first day outside of the top 3? Don't you think it's the same? Top 10. We'll take the 10 out of it. From 10 down to 32. From 10 down to 32 in the second round. I think the value's in the second round. All your guys are gone. I'm not taking a guy who, as I showed you, has swings from 8 to 39 and sitting there going, well, let me take the guy 32. There's no way the Eagles have, if there's not 5 of their favorite players there, why in the world would you sit there and not put the pickup for sale? I think the value's in the round 2. And what round have the Eagles dominated? Round 2. There's so much better of a chance the Eagles landing on a really good ball player and a player. How about this? I guarantee you, if you land on a player in the second round, I bet you that player is more productive than the guy at 32. Want to bet? Remember I said that. Write that down in your book. That the second rounder this year will start more games and be more productive than the guy you take at 32. If you take a guy at 32. Want to bet? Want to bet? Right? And the Eagles have been exceptional at it. That's how I see the board. I'm not going to talk myself into any players if I'm drafting at 32 tonight, if I'm Philly. I am not talking myself into a guy. Yeah, that guy, he's one of my. If you listen to everybody, they're convinced there's a dude at 32 for them. I think there's 5 guys for them at 32. About 5 guys. And if those guys aren't there, you think there's a different set of 5 guys? So they're the second best 5. Zayner's worrying about no players being down there at 32. Well, welcome to every draft in the NFL every year. There's nobody at 32. Well, Sills Lamar was down there. Who thought Lamar Jackson was going to be a star player? And that wasn't a stupid pick. Who thought the Hurts pick wasn't stupid? Okay. Sills, would you trade the 32nd for 2026 first rounder if offered? That won't happen, but of course I would. Of course I would. Yeah, well, I would want something else this year too. Now, wait. If New England offered it to me, Cleveland, say the Cleveland Browns came to me and said, I'll tell you what I'll do, or the New Orleans Saints, and they came to me and said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a first rounder next year for your 32nd this year. You'd be banking that team sucked. And if you had New England, there's a chance you could be in the top 5 next year. It's your 32nd. You could have the top 5 pick and a 32nd pick. I'd do that all night. And I would want their second too this year. That's right. That's highly unlikely. Because that's not value. But remember, Shooter, teams panic. And they're stupid teams. You cannot underestimate the stupidity that's in the draft. Okay? You cannot underestimate how bad. Like I told you guys, we started the show with this. Think about this here. Let's go back up here. And go back into the first round. Funny, I just have salaries here because you know why? I personally don't care about names. Names are insignificant to me when you're picking 32nd. There's not a chance. Hey, let me ask you this. Do you believe Howie Roseman knows who he's taking right now in the NFL draft tonight? Do you think he knows what he's doing right now at 540? Do you think he knows what he's taking and who he's taking? How many people in here know or believe they know who Howie's taking or what he's even doing? No way. Look at this guy. How could you know what they're going to do when 31 other people dictate your future and what you do? Your future's not in your hands. Unless you trade up to what, 26, 25 teams still have your fate in their hands. Safety or edge? Safety or edge? Why would you need an edge rusher in tonight's draft? Why? Did you guys struggle at edge last year? Did you? Did you struggle at edge last year? DT, safety, corner are your needs, not edge. Now you got to replace Sweat. They think a lot of Hunt. I'm starting to too. I think you need more bodies. Dude, your need's not edge. It's not edge. Correct me if I'm wrong. What round did you draft Josh Sweat in? What round did you draft Josh Sweat in? And what round did you draft Milton Williams in? So D says you drafted Josh Sweat in the 4th. Okay. And you drafted Milton in the 3rd, right? Okay. All right. I do agree. D tackle and edge. I don't think you need anybody. think you probably get another guy in the second or third round. Take some of those fits, move up into 3. Go grab a guy. I think that Nick Scouton guy is going to be in the second round. I think he's going to be in round 2. The Shamir Stewart kid, somebody like Todd Bowles has to draft him. Here's where I say for him. Stewart to the Bucks, to the Vikings, to Vic. Like that? Why? You need coaching. You need coaching. You need to have a guy who knows what he's doing. Okay? If you just randomly, like if that guy Nick Scout goes to, he goes to the Jets. That's so Jetsy. Get this here. Ian Rappaport just posted that Shedeur Sanders could go anywhere from the 3rd pick in the draft to out of the 1st round. What does that tell you? With that wide swing. It's a shitty draft. There's only 3 guys in the draft that are going to be penciled in and where they're supposed to go. That's how you always know on how good the draft is. That guy's going here. I'll tell you, do you know who I think is the 3rd? Who do you think is the 4th best pick in this draft outside of Cam, Travis Hunter, and Abdul Carter? Who do you think is the 4th best selection in this draft? I think it's pretty easy. Tyler Warren? Nah. You got it. Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty is a top 5. He's going to go in the top 5. Javon Walker. Javon Walker, to me, that looks like James Pierce. I like Jalen Walker, though. I think he's a little better. Dude, that's a good one, too. The Bama linebacker, Campbell's, it's a great pick. He's probably the 5th. If I had to tell you the top 5 guys in this draft who I think are the best guys in this draft, it's Hunter, Carter, Genty, and Campbell, the linebacker from Alabama. Those are the 4 best dudes in this draft. And you put Warren at 5, Tyler Warren. The rest of them, I don't know. I don't know. So tonight, for me, who do they take? Let me go to my 5. Here. I'm going to say that they take Malachi Starks tonight. That guy gives you flexibility to put Coop outside, keep him in the nickel, play multiple secondary packages. He can also play in the nickel. And he's a first-day starter, takes over for Gardner Johnson. And if Gardner Johnson was so important on your Super Bowl runs, I'm going to take the best guy in this draft that helps What player helps your team the most get back to the Super Bowl? It's Malachi. It's not Walter Nolan. It's not an edge rusher. It's your secondary play. When your secondary improved, get this, your pass rush. Hey, Kyle, do me a favor. How much did your pass rush improve from 23 to 24? How many sacks did you have in 2023, and how many sacks did you have in 2024? How many sacks did you have as a unit? And to me, again, your secondary was garbage in 23. Your secondaries were great in 22 and in 24. You got in, and by the way, in 22, the secondary was protected by the 4 guys who had double-digit sacks. You didn't need a top-flight edge rusher all year. Bradbury wasn't very good. I don't think it was Bradbury, bro. It was everybody back there sucked. He wasn't the only guy with the 28th worst pass defense. It was the entire unit was not very good. And you couldn't stop the run. Wasn't just James Bradbury. One guy doesn't make a unit. Okay? How many sacks did you have in 2023 versus 2024? Kyle, if you're in here, hook me up with that. I want to know how many sacks, because that'll tell me a little bit more if the safety position is more of a priority than edge. Because, again, you guys were not special at edge. You were not special last year. You were good. You were really good, but not special. You were special in the secondary. Everybody. Johnson had 6 turnovers. I don't even know how many picks Slay had. What do you have, 3? Wasn't like an outrageous number. Q was good. Remember something. It's too high safety. Not talking about lockdown corners here. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to know what they did in 20, because if the number's not that different, what was, here it is, thank you. 23. So let me look at this number here. 2023, you had 43 sacks. 2021, you had 41 sacks. You were just as productive. What was the difference? Your secondary. How can edge be a priority? Is that a priority to Vic Fangio when you have the same duplicate numbers when it comes to pressure on the quarterback? No. It's about stopping the run and playing a great secondary. Those sack numbers are telling you right there. You weren't special in 43 or in 23, and you weren't special in 24 and sacking the quarterback. You were special in the secondary and at linebacker. Why would I want to put an edge rusher at 32 when the last 2 years, I mean, it's all in the secondary. Right? I disagree with edge being a priority. I think it's corner, safety, and defensive end. True fire defensive end. I don't think it's edge. I think if you draft a guy in the 3rd and 4th round at edge and you put an edge out there and you bring a guy in like you did with Josh Sweat and Milton Williams in the 3rd or 4th round, I think you're going to be just as happy. To me, the priority is safety, corner safety, and defensive end. Edge rushing, okay? Look at this. Same numbers almost. What does this tell you? Your secondary got better with better players. Q, Gardner Johnson was a factor. Not your edge. You had the same amount almost tackles for losses as you did in 23-24. And you basically almost had the same amount of sacks. What was different? Your secondary play. How could edge be a priority? I don't believe it is. Me? I'm doing this. Safety, corner, defensive end tonight for the Eagles. I don't know what the names are either. Safety, corner, defensive end. I'm guessing tight end. O-line. Linebacker. Another safety. And another corner. Safety, corner, and tight end, O-line, linebacker. I don't know what's happening with Jacoby Dean. And I don't know if Trotter's good enough. Last 2 years, you haven't been special at the edge. And you've been the same. What's been the difference? Your talent in the secondary and coaching. Don't get talked into picks. Be patient. Don't forget our great friends. Speaking of being patient, building a company of over 30 years here. Morgan & Morgan here. Tell you this all the time, folks. The #1 injury law firm in the United States for a reason. You know why? They win. How many companies do you see that go out and tell you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that? The reason why Morgan & Morgan's #1 is because they win. They win cases for their clients. That's why their resume is second to none with nearly $26 billion in recovery. Thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. Look what they're doing out in California when it comes to getting recovery for people that lost their homes. They are not going to be snowed over by some sort of insurance company to sit there and give you a low ball offer. That's not what they do. Do me a favor. Please check out my friends at forthepeople.com/big sills or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sills or pound 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sill sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
They're carving them up and good play calling along the way. First and goal at the 6.
On the field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLEX. Eagles.
Tonight is ESPN and Ryan Clark and Shannon Sharp's dream for Bob Iger and for Disney tonight. I mean, the Shedeur Sanders drama, this is just made for race baiters. I mean, this is going to be the best watching this thing. Okay? I mean, that's the only real drama in this thing here. And really kind of where the Eagles and what the Eagles do at 32 and the Cowboys. If I had to rank them, Sanders drama, the Cowboys drama, and the Eagle drama on what they do tonight in the draft. I think those are your 3 storylines. How many quarterbacks go too also will probably be a storyline. Great stuff. You guys are great. Michael Irvin's going to join us tomorrow. I can't wait to see what goes on tonight. Not a great draft, but a lot of great drama tonight. Big Joe, thank you. Xander, thank you. 2 to 6 tomorrow. Have a great NFL draft, and we'll see you on the flip side.